Thank you so much for joining us. As we always do before we get started, make sure you hit that like button. Again, as you come into the chat room, hit that like button, or I'm going to have Kala sing the song. You know, Kala has his Luther Vandross OJ's blazer on today. So, you know, the OJ's.
Yeah, I feel like singing too, bro.
Yeah, he has his blazer on today. So if you guys do not hit that like button, he's going to sing. All right.
You don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want that. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. Also, go to dynastymir.com. Get all your merchandise, guys, while you're there. Again, get all your merchandise while you are at dynastymir.com. Greatly appreciate it, you guys. Also, go to Patreon. Patreon.com. Search for Uhuru. Again, patreon.com. Search for Uhuru. Everyone, patreon.com, search for Uhuru, go there, become a monthly Patreon. We really appreciate your guys' support. Again, become a monthly Patreon, patreon.com, search for Uhuru, patreon.com, search for Uhuru, everybody. Tour, April 21st to the 30th, April 21st to the 30th, we are going to Sierra Leone. April 21st to the 30th, we are going to Sierra Leone. Come and join us. Again, come and join us, everyone. We are going to have an awesome time. April 21st to the 30th. I think that's everything. So message me if you want to come to Sierra Leone with us, April 21st to the 30th. I'm trying to think anything else. Is there anything else? Make sure you get your books. Newest children's book, It's Libation Time, a children's guide to the ancestors. Make sure you go to dynastymir.com. Grab your copy, everyone. Really appreciate the support, family. It really means a lot. Let's see here. I think we covered everything. Oh, travel. Guys, book your travel. Go to searchforuhuru.com travel. All right. When we take a commercial break, during the show, I'll walk you guys through it. So travel throughout the world. Book it through searchforuhuru.com now. Again, searchforuhuru.com travel. Go ahead and book it through that site. And then also, too, specifically for Africa. If you guys are traveling to Africa and need assistance with that, call me or reach out to me personally. I can guide you through that. But travel anywhere else, wherever you want to go, from Atlanta to Houston. I don't know. Go to searchforuhuru.com and click on travel and book your travel, family. Without further ado, we have brother Kala Thanos on with us today. Kala Genesis with us today. And today's topic is Liberia was the solution to present day Black political confusion. Liberia was the solution to all of this Black American political arguing and bickering, and I'm gonna counsel you, and I can't believe Black men are voting for Trump. You coon. You remind me of the people that sold us out to the slave master. All this garbage that our people are spewing on each other. How is dividing family? Like literally, this is dividing families, Kala.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, our family's thing. I told my family after, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016, right? Because he was talking about getting rid of my bread and butter. One of my bread and butter is the Affordable Care Act. I said, no, I can't do that. I put my interest. I said, forget that. I didn't like Hillary Clinton, so I voted third party. I voted for Jill Stein and Baraka, third party, right? So like that. But after the last 4 years, I went to see what Trump was going to say and do, and he kept on with that message: Black unemployment. Have you ever heard anybody boast about low Black unemployment numbers? Barack Obama, Bush, Clinton, everything. Has anybody ever gave a damn about even mentioning Black issues as far as presidential? No, because for some strange reason, right, you have 45 million people in the country, right? And people think you can marginalize and dismiss 45 million people, right? And they're just going to be, and like I said, they have been doing this for a long by punking us, by telling us you ain't got no place to go. You got no revolt. So the bottom line is this: if we this Black people in America right now could take out the Democratic Party and absorb the whole thing. But we don't think like that. We think like loyal slave children who's loyal to our masters. Those are the real slave minded, we owe the Democrats for what? What did they bring you out of slavery? No. What did they do? Oh, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Do you understand that the Civil Rights Act was going to happen regardless of who was in power, who we voted for? Because America was fighting a geopolitical ideology war. You can't have legalized state-sanctioned racism and everything and tell the world you're a free country. So the civil rights was going to happen regardless or whatever. The civil rights movement, actually, the face of the civil rights movement was supposed to be Native Americans and Chinese. People don't realize that.
Right? Really?
Yeah. The Chinese, because let me give you an example. In popular culture, remember the TV, the cartoon Superman when it came out, right? And even shows like Bonanza and all that, right? Every time they dealt with racism and prejudice, it was always an Indian, a Mexican, or a Chinese, right? They were more acceptable. These are the people that they were going to let in gradually. And Mexicans, Native Americans were fighting alongside white soldiers in World War II, and while black soldiers went to segregated units, right? So therefore, Asians and Mexicans and all these people had a leg into America before African Americans, because we were seen as just this unredeemable people, right? To America. But the world saw the thing differently, right? We managed to basically tell the world that we're human too, through men like Paul Robeson, right? So people are saying, well, these people aren't the stereotype. Remember, white America exported the worst images of us to the world, to the minstrel shows, right? These guys, clowns, buffoons, they're unhuman, they're uncivilized. All these things went around the world. In India, right? They had the thing. What was the short story? Churned into Butter, The Jungle Book, and several other things that basically the British used to mock dark-skinned Indians, like you're black, you're niggers, whatever like that. So they created this thing around the world. The minstrel shows were popular all over the world. The reason for the minstrel shows was to justify the degradation of black African people in America. So people all over the world will look at black people like, well, they deserve to. But what happened was in the 50s, in the 40s and 50s, black people started getting on the world stage. You had Josephine Baker. You had Paul Robeson. You had many other people who started speaking out and saying, and they started, black people, we give ourselves credit. We fill out our own movies and stuff like that, showing a positive image of us, right? So the worldview of black America started changing, especially when a lot of African Americans went over to Paris, So the worldview was changing. So basically the world said, how can you say you're the last hope of mankind and you got a group of people that's oppressed in your country? So that's what gave the face of the civil rights movement changed from Jews, and before it was Jews, Catholics. That was the inclusion they was talking about. But it wasn't, but they put black people in at the last minute to give it more legitimacy, because you can't bring in Catholics, you can't bring in homosexuals, you can't bring in Asians and everything and leave the people who are on the bottom of American society out. So therefore, the civil rights activists took advantage of this, right? And they kept telling them, they told Martin Luther King, wait. Remember this letter from the prison? You read Martin? Remember they told him, the clergy told him, wait, it's going to have wait. And Martin Luther King said, wait means never. So therefore, what was missing was the fact that just a generation before integration, there was a black nationalist movement, the largest movement in our history, the Garvey Movement, right? The Garvey Movement spelled out everything that the black race wanted. They wanted to colonize Africa, drive the colonizer out of Africa, leave America and everything, and just forget about the whole thing. Post-World War II, a lot of white people figure out, well, what are we going to do with these people in America? What are we going to do with these people? Then they had to think, okay, we can't assimilate all black people into America because of white racial prejudice. That was the thing. When people start blaming black people for the condition they're in, remember, it was white racism that basically put an impediment. So even if you put stuff into law, right, the prejudices of white America put up an impediment to integration and to a pluralistic society. So what they came up with this thing called gradualism and also benign neglect. We'll gradually integrate the black people into American mainstream society that we want, right? The ones that we want, we'll gradually put them in. They gave like Ralph Bunche. I don't know if you remember him, right? He was an ambassador, right? It was all over. Oh, first black ambassador in America, major ambassador, Ralph Bunche. And then they showcases. Look at this. Black people have entered society. Black people are in NASA. Black people working for right by President Kennedy. Look at all this progress, right? It was gradualism, right? And the majority of black people really knew this was what was called at the time tokenism. We're going to give you tokens, stuff like that, right? And then some people, like Malcolm X always said, who love the tokenism, right? Because tokenism basically lets white people off the hook. They're saying, look, we're making progress. They always say it. Look at any film documentary from the 60s. We'll see what white people say. Oh, we made a lot of progress. Oh, we saw a black, we made a black man here, whatever like that. Black people in the 60s became holding public office. Oh, we're making progress, right?
Right.
Then in popular culture, we had shows like I Spy, and we had black men. They would show black people. The Hollywood came in and started showing the black professional. I remember the movie, one of the groundbreaking movies that convinced people that racism was getting better was Night of the Living Dead. I don't think you remember that, 1967. Okay, one of the main characters of that movie was a black man, right? And it was set in I think Long Island, whatever. But the thing is, and it was done in black and white, and people were like, "Well, black people making progress." You have Sidney Poitier with In Heat of the Night, and they brought him in and said, "Look, black man, the detective, he goes down there and he shows up all these white rednecks. He's better than superior, whatever like that." And so basically, Hollywood and the media and media institutions were playing this game of gradualism and progress. We're making progress and everything. And so Black America, for the most part, bought into this. We saw it going in, becoming Americans, right? Before the 60s, black people didn't consider themselves Americans. So we're going to become Americans and everything. And then what happened was the party in 1964, Black America was mostly Republican. And then what happened was Barry Goldwater came on there and said, something, it's not the government's job to do all this stuff like that, right? So black people, Martin Luther King and Black America switched over to the Democratic Party. And Democratic Party, part of its basic social safety nets and all stuff like that. And we've been Democrats ever since. Now in 2020, how do we justify the Democratic Party when Black American communities are in shambles? Gary, Indiana in the 70s wants a thriving town, right? Of industrial workers, right? Look at Gary, Indiana now. Look at Detroit, look at Pittsburgh. All these places where black people migrated from the South and built working class communities, right? They are in shambles, drugs, crime, and death and destruction and all stuff like that. So we bought into America, but that was limits because in order for you to really be an American, right? And people don't want to say this, right? You have to assimilate. What does assimilate mean? People think, oh, I'm assimilating. I'm saying, and you can integrate all you want. Assimilation really means black people and white people marrying, socializing with each other, and the whole race, and then to create a new race of people where race will not be a factor and everything. And and I know, Dynas, white America is not going to let that happen, right? So if they're not going to let that happen, what was realistic was another thing is people always call Nixon a racist, Nixon was realistic, right? He said, why don't we just help them build their own communities, right? Nixon supported the Soul City Project. Did anybody know what the Soul City Project was?
Yeah, that was in North Carolina, right?
Yeah, North Carolina, right?
They never happened. They had this. I think the sign is still there.
Sign's still there. But the thing, Floyd McKenzie, right? He's from North Carolina. He's from New York City. He said, look, man, the problem is all these black people moved to the north, right? And they're sitting around doing nothing, right? He says you could build towns with industrial areas. It was a great plan because right after the Soul City Project, right, white people took the idea and said, why don't we create these makeshift towns where people would come in and these little boom towns and everything all throughout America. But when black people tried to do it, right, the people who opposed it the most was black people who were hell bent on integration, right? The people that believe in integration, like Thurgood Marshall and Roy Wilkins and all these other people, these people will in their grave right now. They'll reach their hand and reach out their grave, right? Dig themselves up and come back to life to stop any sort of what they call black separatism or black, which is ideal. They said if you build the cities like Soul City and everything, you're giving ammunition to the racists who believe that racists should be apart. The whole thing is Black America is paying the price for integration, right? The Chinese integrated what from a position of strength, right? They still had Chinatowns. You know, Mexicans still had Mexico, their own countries. The Jews created the state of Israel, right? But only African Americans are asked to integrate from a position of weakness and want. When the Jews integrate into America or they become part of America, they got a business network set up. That's theirs. They got hospitals. They got all the stuff like that, institutions. They got the Anti-Defamation League, right? They got lobbyists. They got all these things where they can go into American society seamlessly. Black America, we don't have that. Our goal is to, it's all about being American. Let's forget about race and all this kind of nonsense. We're the only group of people that did that. And this is why when people say, why do you say there's no such thing as a Black community? I said it's not. Because when we were a so-called community, right, they did everything they can to stop that. Like, let me give you an example. Ebony Magazine, right? The mainstream media and all these people for years have basically never advertised in Ebony Magazine like they did white magazines, right? If you read Ebony Magazine, Dinus, what advertisers did you see in Ebony Magazine? You know, what advertisers?
No. So I actually no. That's not really not true. I read John Johnson, the founder, in his autobiography, Succeeding Against the Odds. I forgot what was the TV company that he ended up getting. Not Panasonic, but it was like a white TV company that he.
Oh yeah, he was successful. But what I'm saying is this though, the Ebony Magazine reached 70 million people around the world, whatever. Mm-hmm. But what you saw in Ebony Magazine was the same old stereotypical stuff. Seagram's gin. You saw St. Ives. You saw Newports, right? It was to the point where I thought Newport cigarettes were Black owned. You know, that's all I see. Newports and stuff like that. Major political campaigns, right, didn't advertise really in Black magazines because they felt they didn't have to, right? It's the same thing right now. When we have Black media outlets, they don't advertise or put money into Black things. Now, John Johnson is my idol and hero, right? He built the institution, Ebony Magazine. The reason why he built institution Ebony Magazine was to counter racist images in the media. He would show Black people as beautiful, Black people going to church.
Guys, with that being said, make sure you go to audible.com or go buy John Johnson's book, Succeeding Against the Odds. It's a great book. And that's why when I read that book and I see where Ebony is at now, pretty much doesn't exist. It's sad. It's sad.
So that underscores a point, right? Where not only Ebony Magazine, right, but major Black churches. You don't know, a lot of these Black churches, mega churches aren't even really Black owned. You know that, right?
I didn't know that.
White corporations, right, who basically tell them, okay, we'll give you money to get on TV and everything, but a certain amount of your money you take in goes to the white churches. Independent institutions in Black America have been on attack for a generation, right? Essence Magazine, forget about it. It's gone, right? Gone. Essence Magazine, Ebony Magazine, Jet Magazine, gone. You know,
guys, make sure you download that book, man. This is a great listen. It's a great listen.
John Johnson was a great, honorable man.
Well, a lot of people don't like him though, because I guess when the other Johnson that founded BET,
people confuse the two.
No. But what I'm saying is, who's the Johnson that founded BET? Bob Johnson. So when Bob Johnson was starting BET, he went to John Johnson for assistance and asked him to invest. And John Johnson was just like, no, and just spent the majority of the time talking about himself.
Right. But let me ask you a question. When BET first came out, you gotta admit that was garbage, man. You know, they had no news, and then when they had this one lady called Bev Smith. I don't know if you remember her in the '90s. You probably don't. You know, before your time. Yeah. The early night, Bev Smith. She had a good show on there, right? And she was basically on point, right? They took her off, right? They took off Teen Summit. They took all stuff like that, and then they basically Bob Johnson said most of Black people want to talk about is rap videos and stuff like that. So I don't think BET ever really had that seriousness of that.
Well, they had the light skinned dude that did
the Gordy, what's his name?
Gordon. Yeah, they had him, and they had. You got to give BET some credit before it went far left. They had him. They had Teen Summit.
Yeah.
They had, yeah, I mean, you know.
I mean, they had some stuff, man, but you understand somehow I was at the time, right? Dinas, at the time, I wanted some militant black, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that, And once in a while, Cortland Malloy will say something. You're like, go Cortland. You had to take what you can get. They give you a little bit of something. Ed Gordy will say a little something, stuff like that.
Ed Gordon, the light skinned dude, Ed Gordon.
Yeah, Ed Gordy, And so I was like, okay, he would give something here, there, and everything. Okay. But it wasn't really like that. People, it wasn't that fire that we were looking for in the 90s, right? So basically, we said to ourselves back then, look, we got really no media presence. The only thing we really had back then was the Final Call.
I love Rap City, man. Colin, hold on, let me interject real quick, guys. Hit that like button again. We have almost 200 people watching, guys. Please hit the like and please subscribe. You guys don't understand how much bigger this platform would be if you guys would just at least like and subscribe and share. So you can hit that like button and share the content again. Please hit the like button and share the content. Bro, Colin, what happened? I mean, okay, Colin, hear me out.
It's because
no, but hear me out. Just the 80s. I mean, I remember growing up in the 80s and the 90s. Bro, it was just so much fun. And just when we hit the 2000s, like I want to say around 2005, it just took a different, something happened.
You know why? Because Radio One and Clear Channel and iHeartMedia came in, right? And they basically, my brother Jamal can explain this better. In 1999, black radio was on the precipice, gone. Major media companies come in, right? And they'll find the Charlemagne the Gods. They'll find what's his name? Funkmaster Flex, another fake, phony, the Angie Martinez and Wendy Williams and all these other people, right? And they said, something, we're going to give y'all what y'all really want, hip hop, right? They're going to take away all the stuff that's black, right? And they said, look, we're going to reach more people. So in other words, basically, white people were uncomfortable when they heard black content, black orient content. So therefore, but they are comfortable hearing about us killing each other, hearing about East Coast, West Coast beef, all the stuff like that. That's fine. Hearing about a rapper bragging about how many drugs he sold and everything, that was completely fine, right? And so what I'm trying to say is this. And then when you look at it, right, right now, right, the black community was basically the burden of appeasing everybody, making everybody happy, was on the black community. If you didn't go like that, remember what Lauryn Hill said? Remember Lauryn Hill?
Yeah.
She said, I don't give a shit about white people on my. Oh man, they tried to cancel Lauryn Hill, but she was telling the truth. She was like, she go, I make my music and everything. If white people want to listen to, that's fine. But I don't make my music for white people. Oh, you don't do it like that? She was basically saying, I don't give a shit. I didn't get into this to sell out to white people and stuff like that. And so therefore, there was a lot of black people threw her under the bus too. And so basically, what I'm trying to say is this though. The more we went mainstream, the more we integrated into America, the more we lost who we were, who our identity was. Because I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, it was the funnest time in the world.
Man, Colin, when I say, Colin, I was a little kid, but growing up in the late 80s, all the way to probably 2000, man, it was just beautiful being black. I mean, it is still now, but it was just the culture, the music.
The music, everything was like we was a people. But now because of MTV, VH1, and all these other things, we're not allowed to be a people anymore, right? You have to be a thug. You have to be a gangster. You have to be this, or that, nobody cares about the community. Nobody talks about the community anymore. If you talk about that, you were basically ostracized. You're a troublemaker. You're an outcast, whatever. So this is going to be interesting now looking at the political landscape because black people are like this. Remember we had in the early mid 2000s we had Rock Your Vote, right? P. Diddy gets up there now. P. Diddy talking about a political party. He's not nothing new. This has been 6 years.
Okay, let's understand. P. Diddy says he wants to start his own black political party, but he's voting for Biden.
It takes out. He's not serious, right? Because if you look at his Rock the Vote or Vote or Die, whatever the fuck that was back in then, he said, "I'm gonna galvanize the hip hop vote." Now think about that. One of the reasons why I came on social media, right, was to counteract this thing called a hip hop vote. what that hip hop vote was so-called young people who smoke, young white people smoke weed, and listen to rap music, right? Gays, LGBTQ, people who party, people do all that. And P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever, thought that he could galvanize people around a lifestyle, a hip hop lifestyle. And what he found out was a lot of the people, white people who listen to his music, right, also listen to Rush Limbaugh.
All right.
So this is what you have. This is what you have, and I said this back then. There is no such thing as a black vote, right? It's not now. It's not until now, after 8 years of Obama, black people like this. Look, we put this man into power. We're the ones. Make no mistake. It was them softening up white people with Biden and Barack Obama. They kept hopping on Barack Obama's mixed heritage and everything. But the thing is, what really got Obama elected was the massive black turnout, right?
Right.
We want to see a black president. We saw the black family up there. We thought Barack Obama, the Obamas was one of us. We want to see him in the White House, right? So 8 years, what happened was white people figured, oh, black people only voting for him, he's black. And I admit it. I voted for him because he was black. And also,
Me too. And Kyle, I tell you, Kyle, when they had the election night after it was confirmed that he won, and they was at and listen, Kyle, they was in Chicago at the was it Lake Michigan?
Grant Park.
Oprah was in the front row crying. I was crying.
Bro, I was like, yo, that night, I'll never forget that night when the election came in. I said, we just predicted history had just been made. Barack Obama.
I was crying.
Yo, bro, I was like, yo, ecstatic. I went out there and the newspapers broke. They had a late edition newspaper broke, right? I still got like 10 copies, right? In a box, right? 10 copies of the when he was up there and he gave his speech, I was elated. I was like, man, it's a new day, man. America's turning. I was a black nationalist at the time, right? But I was just so caught up in the change, everything like that,
Oh man.
And the black America, maybe because it was a recession too at the time, I've seen black America fall to and also not only that, after Barack Obama got elected, you know what white people say? You can't talk about racism anymore. You can't talk about racism anymore. We elected a black president. What did Mitch McConnell say? We paid y'all reparations. We elected Obama twice, right? Now, black people, particularly black men, are not happy in America. And I can see it all over black men's face, but we're too scared. Black men are too scared to speak out about this. So a lot of black people are saying, black men are saying, what the hell? We're the ones who got Obama elected twice, right? If it wasn't for us, right, Hunter Biden would be in a rehab somewhere. But these people, the Bidens, are making millions of dollars because we helped Obama get elected. So what do we get out of all this? Well, they tell you what you get out of it. You get out of the fact that Biden is going to protect you from racism from Donald Trump. And so any strong black man is sitting there saying, I don't need you. I mean, real black men are like, I don't need you protecting us from racism, because it's going to happen regardless. No matter who's in office, you're still going to have racist cops, You're still going to have discrimination. You're still going to have all that, no matter who is in office. And the way I deal with white people right now is like, I don't give a shit about Trump or Biden or anything like that. I'm going to keep continuing doing what I've been doing all the time, right? And I'm just resigned for the fact that, it is what it is. Now, if we can get something out of this political system, right? In order for you to get something out of that, somebody has to put something on the table, right? Now, if Donald Trump says, we're gonna put $500 billion into the black community, right? If he says that, right? And if he says that and he gets enough Republicans to say, yeah, we need to do this because that's what Nixon was planning on doing back in the days. Look, you guys need to build Black America, the inner cities and all stuff like that. We need to build a separate entity inside of America, Black America, and education, all the stuff like that, low cost loans, whatever like that, all the stuff. You know what this reminds me of? And I could be jinxing myself. You was probably 4 years old when Dukakis ran against George W. Bush the first, right? Okay, when Dukakis in 1988 ran against George Walker Bush first, right? Herbert Walker Bush first, right? There was a whole bunch of Dukakis. Basically, that's when black people had some sort of clout in the Democratic Party, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was before Bill Clinton. This when Biden was part of that racist wing of the Democratic Party, right? The Democrats on Dukakis' platform was a black economic agenda, right? Minority set-asides, right? By federal law, what was going to happen was black people were going to get contracts. They were going to get this. They were going to get that. Education, minority set-asides, stuff like that. So there was a lot of black men, people were going to benefit. Ron Brown was there. Basically, he brokered the deal and everything. What happened was there was a right wing, there was a backlash in America, right, against this. Black people like, okay, we're going to bring out the black vote and everything, right? Because white people were, there was a large, at the time, the majority of whites in the country were, the white America was split. Like, I would say a slightly majority Democrat, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened was during the Reagan, the second half of the Reagan era, a lot of those whites began going over to the Republican Party after the Democrats overrode the vetoes against South Africa, right? A lot of white Democrats started going over to the Reagan Party, right? The Republican Party. They were called Reagan Democrats, right? The future of the Democratic Party was like this. Let me tell you something. Back in the days, the Democrats were just as racist as Republicans. It was all about the white vote, the white majority vote. Who can court that, right? The Democrats said, look, how do we basically silence black people, right? Because if we keep giving in to black people, we're going to lose white voters. That's what it was. And that's what you have right now in America. White voters will go. The more concessions you give to black people at anything, right? Promise them anything, right? You have to, you're going to lose white voters, right? What happened was they basically, Dukakis lost, right? And then the white power structure in the Democratic Party said, look, we lost and we're still losing white voters. So what do we have to do? Northeastern liberal, Dukakis was, I believe, the last, till Obama, I think, last liberal, non-Southern liberal who ran on a ticket. That could never happen again. So what did they do? They got two Southerners, Al Gore, right, and Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton, when he basically was on campaign ad, one of his main campaign ads was showing a group of black men in prison uniforms, right? And that was right around the time, right after the crime bill was passed, right? Crime bill was passed. The Democrats said, look, we're going to, in order for us to win back or keep the white votes we had, we have to throw black people under the bus by making us seem like we're tough on crime. They put the face of crime in America on black America.
Right.
And the sad part about it is, black people, the Congressional Black Caucus and all the people said, we're fine with that. So long as Democrats win. Why? Because they figured if the Democrats win, even if they don't do anything for us, right? We can't.
Somebody said explain Willie Horton.
Yeah, the Willie Horton. Yeah, the Willie Horton ad. Well, George with Lee Atwater had an ad called Willie Horton. That's what did Dukakis in, right? Willie Horton was a paroled, what do you call a furloughed murderer who in Massachusetts Dukakis let out of jail on a furlough to do work, and he went out and murdered some other people. So Dukakis was heading the polls, right? And when they put out the Willie Horton ad, right, they basically, Lee Atwater years later said, yeah, that was a bad thing. We played the race card, but it worked. Right away, the Democrats started hemorrhaging terrified white people or voters. The answer to the Willie Horton ad was the crime bill. The Democrats had to prove that they were just as tough on crime. Even more, they went to the right of the Republicans on crime. As a response to, glad that person brought the Willie Horton ad. I would have completely forgotten about it. As a thing. So this is what you have right now. The less you appeal to black people, the bread and butter, the base of the Democratic Party is black people. But the less you talk to them, the more you're likely to get white voters. You have to make the Democratic Party seem like familiar with white people. You know, even when black people talk or Barack Obama, he's talking to white people, right? He's talking to so-called middle-class white people. He's not talking to black people. You know, the stuff he's talking about is white people, white liberals, and white progressive, a white person who may have a black friend, okay, a white person who may have a gay friend. That's the Democratic Party. And the only way that works is you have to keep the black community at all costs in the Democratic camp, right? This is why they're basically attacking any black person who says, you know, something, I want to go someplace. As your right to do, right? Agree or disagree. 50 Cent said, you know something, if I get Biden gets elected, I may be 20 Cent, you know?
All
right. Ice Cube spoke out, right? Kanye, they made out to be an idiot. Now today, Chelsea Handler, 50 Cent's former girlfriend, said, look, I had to call him and remind him he's black. Now, what kind of message is that to say? Do they ever call a Chinese person and remind them that they're Chinese? No. So you mean tell me the oldest group of non-white people?
You know, black people, well, we just got to get rid of the orange man. So what?
Yeah. So therefore, this is what they're saying. They don't talk about issues. They don't talk about, okay, well, what about a Biden do you agree or disagree or Trump? They don't ask black people that. The only thing you're supposed to do is what they tell you to do. You're going to vote for a Democrat, right? You can't even say, you know something, I don't like Trump or Biden. I'm going to stick this out. I'm going to sit this out. You're not allowed to do that. That's unheard of. You cannot say that. You're a black person. You're a white. So let me.
I want to address something first, guys. Well, commercial break. Hit that like button again, guys. We have 200 people watching. Please hit that like button again. Please hit that like button, everyone. Make sure you go to dynastymirror.com, get your books, get your merchandise. Also, search for uhuru.com. Click on this travel tab and book your travel. Click on the travel tab and book your travel. People keep bringing up the Central Park 5, Kala.
Okay.
And then we'll get to Liberia here in a second. Then we'll open up the lines. Brandon made a great point last night, because every time we bring up Trump, it's what about the Central Park 5? Central Park 5.
Mm-hmm.
This number one, and I did a story. I did a video on this about 2 or 3 years ago when they had released that documentary, When They See Us, or I think that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Everybody involved in the railroading of those kids are all Democrats. Everybody involved. So let's leave that Central Park 5 thing alone. Everybody involved were Democrats. But here's the main point. Brandon brought this up yesterday. Did Donald Trump force the parents of those kids to convince those kids to go ahead and confess to a crime they didn't do?
No, he didn't. And also, time in 1989, right? I remember at the time when it first broke, right? Everybody was hard. Everybody was like, "Oh, wow!" And people were like saying, "Yo, man, motherfuckers down there wilding," right? And then when the stuff started coming out, right? And the stuff started coming out. What happened was this: it was a real divide between. Remember something? The election was over, right? And a lot of Democrats were mad at people like Al Sharpton, Ultimatix, and all these other people, because they were telling black people not to vote for the Democrats because it was a power struggle between the white liberal Democrat Party in the Northeast, right, and black people, right? Ultimatix said, "Look, man, we're gonna go down to Atlanta and protest and riot at the convention floor, right? Because the Democrats in New York are playing racism. They accused Mario Cuomo of being a racist, right? So therefore, this rebellion, right, between you gotta say something. The same white liberals in New York, right? They talk all they want, right? But when it comes to it, they're the first ones to call the police on a black man in the neighborhood. You know, that was coming out, right? At the time, Donald Trump was a liberal Democrat. And everybody in New York, the district attorney's office, the lady who prosecuted Central Park 5, right? She was a big Obama supporter.
Yeah, in fact, and I told somebody, I was telling somebody this today, and not only Obama, but Hillary Clinton too.
Hillary Clinton.
The Linda Fairstein, the main prosecutor, will hold fundraisers for the Obama campaign.
Right. So these are, and this what gets me is this: black people in America, it's like this. We're beholden to this idea of liberal. We think liberal means they love us, right? Liberal means white love. That's basically what it means. And if somebody who's grown up in New York knows, right, like myself, right, knows when you're living in New York, right? If you're black, right? White people is white people, black people is black people. That remember that lady who called the bird watcher in Central Park a couple
Yeah,
months
yeah.
ago?
I guarantee you she's a liberal. I'm
She was,
willing to bet.
she was a liberal. She was in all these liberal clubs. But what did she say? She said, "I'm gonna call the police and say a black man is harassing me." You know, this is the thing in New York has going on for these white liberals who live in these big cities and everything. They're just as apprehensive or ambivalent towards black people as anybody else. And so what happened was at the time, right? At the time, you know, white liberals in New York, Mayor Koch, you know, he was. We don't even know what Mayor Koch was. He was pro police and everything like that, but he was a liberal. You know, he was a liberal. You know, he was a so-called liberal Koch and Dinkins and all. And you could put Dinkins.
Hey, Kyla, you were in New York when the Central Park 5 case was going on. Were
Yeah.
other black people calling to have those kids convicted as well?
Well, when it first happened, everybody believed it, right? Then what happened was, this is what happened. There was somebody that came out and said, the guy that eventually went to jail for it, he actually said, he called into a radio show, whatever, and said, "Look, that's not what happened, right? I did it," and he confessed to it. And the media and the police covered it up, right? Because they thought Central Park 5 had nothing to do with that rape case. It had everything to do with, at the time, where there was this backlash against black progress in New York, right? White people we in New York were like saying, you know, the white New Yorkers didn't want to share this city with us, right? Black people were making gains in the MTA, in the sanitation, and education department, the police department, and all these things, right? So therefore, there was really no need for black people to be beholden to a political party, a Democratic Party, right? Because we had the numbers. So therefore, when they start trotting out all this stuff like, "Oh, we need to come together as Democrats," black people like this, you guys ignoring what we're saying about the police brutality, the racial profiling, all the stuff like that right here. But yet we go down to this convention, we're all supposed to hug and unite as so-called Democrats. And what we resented was the fact that we were facing all this racism, right, in New York from Cuomo's government, the city precincts and everything. These are all so-called Democrats, right? White Democrats, right? And so therefore, we're going up against a national thing. They're saying, you guys need our vote, right? But you guys are treating us like shit. And we were supposed to just take that and just take that line down. And so that's or at the time, I did agree with Al Sharpton, you know, at Ultimatics. It's like, you guys want our vote, but you guys don't want to treat us with the respect or give us any acknowledgement. And that's what it was. And then in 1992, when Bill Clinton was running, right, black people nationwide and Me Too, except for the only thing we had at that time was black men started listening to Farrakhan, you know, and he was saying what we want to hear. You know, we had Khalid Muhammad, Farrakhan, and that was the direction it was going. But black politics in America was like, look, we can't fight. We got to choose sides, and we had to choose sides with the Democrats, right? Because we were like, okay, the Democrats are going to protect us from and it was a real fear. Let me tell you something, Diane. There was a real fear in Black America of people like David Duke at the time. You know, now we look at it because we have social media and we're sort of empowered now. We don't fear the white people like we used to because we have our own platforms and everything. But remember, so every time you look around on the news, they will show black people getting arrested. Black people, and now psychologically, we felt well, we're under siege here. They're seeing us as criminals. They're seeing us as drug dealers. They're seeing us as murderers. KRS One song made a song called "My Philosophy." He said, I don't want to reinforce stereotypes of the day. All my brothers, murderers and drug dealers, talk broken English and drug selling. Right? It was a pushback in black culture to say, no, this is not who we are. This is not who we are. But the so-called media, right? The white people used to say the liberal media. Remember that term, the liberal media, right? The liberal media, right? Was supposed to be liberal, right? But the thing is, the images of black people in the media was racist. And so black people were like, yo, how are you going to call this a liberal media and this stuff is racist? And then I remember one time on Geraldo was like when Al Sharpton and all them said, "Look, man, I think Cuomo is a racist governor." Where they were just putting it out there, right? And Bob Abrams, the Attorney General at the time, was a racist, right? And then Geraldo was like, I don't get that because he is a man who's a liberal. He said many things. He talks about black children and everything. And all of a sudden, Al Sharpton was like, "Yo, look, I remember there's people who transit cops who are arresting black people and ticketing black people just because they're black." And he said Cuomo didn't say anything about that. So Geraldo was like, "Take a break, cut the camera off, and take a break." But there was a real war going on between the black community and this so-called liberal establishment in New York. And I think that that right there, see, we let them win over the years. We let them win. We just basically said, okay, we're going to keep doing Democrats because in the long run is we have to fight racism. That's what it is. 2000, fast forward to 2020, right? And for the first time, you have a Republican president saying, you know something, you guys have me get this, that, we can make this right. First time somebody actually said, okay, look at what we're doing for black unemployment. Look at what First Step program. Look at how we're trying to get rid of all these prisons like that. That was never done before. So Trump took a political gamble that he's not going to lose his base. White people, let me tell you something. Between the Bushes, the Clintons, and two terms of Obama, white America has gained so much power and wealth. They're taken care of. They're taken care of. Black America has not really made any progress in 30-something years. In many ways, we're going backwards because of the benign neglect. And so therefore, we say, this is why Hillary Clinton had a low turnout. Because black people were like, well, what do we gain from this thing? We were never allowed to ask, what do we gain from our vote? We were never allowed to ask for that. 2020, we're still not allowed to ask, well, what do you gain for our vote? The only thing they're telling us, right? It's like we're back in 1988 and 92. You just have to vote for Democrat. Why? Because of the bigger fight of racism. They don't tell Jews the only thing you have to worry about anti-Semitism, right? They don't tell them that. Jews will vote. You got Jews split between Republicans and Democrats. The Hispanic vote is split between Democrat and Republican, right? Because they talk tangibles and specifics to them, and they vote accordingly. The problem in Black America is, after all these years, right? I don't know. Like I said, the answer all along was our nation of our own. Because you cannot assimilate a group of people, right, who were slave descendants. You can't do that. That's the elephant in the room. I believe you could bring an African immigrant here, right? Someone from the Caribbean here, and a generation or two, they'll pretty much be assimilated into America because they have roots in their homeland and stuff like that. Black America, right? Black America, what we want is the end to racism. That means racial identity. That means we don't say, okay, we're black, we're gonna be part of America. You can't do that if you're black in America because you have nothing to, you have no escape. You have no, you're not in a position of strength. Everybody else here have a homeland, place to go back to, some place to draw from. Why do you think you go to New York, Dinas, right? Go on Queens Boulevard, right? Go on Jamaica Avenue, right? And you will see communities that look like little Pakistan. I always wonder how these people come over here, right? Indians. And they're just basically the young people are wearing the latest fashions. The older people are speaking their native language and everything, but yet they're basically acclimated to America, succeeding in business and all the stuff like that. And you don't see that as far as the African American community. You do see that with the Caribbeans, right? The Caribbeans, you see little communities that are functioning and stuff like that, building communities, but you don't see that with African Americans.
Well, 1 second, guys, hit that like button again. Please hit the like button, family. Again, please hit the like button as you come to the channel. Hit the like button. Kyle, let's do this. Let's tie this into Liberia for like the next 10, 15 minutes in regards to how Liberia was a solution to this political confusion. Right. And then we're going to open up the lines after that. So about 15 minutes, let's tie this into Liberia.
Okay, check this out. People don't know? Do you know that the state of Israel was based on the Liberia model? People don't know that. People don't know that the state of Israel, the Jews said, "Look, we need a state of our own in our ancient homeland." Right? They copied the Freetown and Liberia. They saw Liberia work. Okay, these people went over to Africa homeland and built a modern republic, a state. They said the Jews said Theodore Herzl said that's what we want. That's the model we want. We want a state of our own. The majority of Jews said we don't need such a state. I'm a German. I'm a French. I'm an Austrian. Right? It
Right.
wasn't until World War II, and I think a lot of the stuff, at the risk of sounding anti-Semitic, a lot of the stuff about the Nazis and anti-Semitism was overblown to sell the idea of Zionism. You know, during the time in the 1930s, there were Jews moving to Palestine. They were just going there, occupying territory with the hopes of one day they were going to control it and become a state. The Palestinians and the Turks and all of them welcome, and the Arabs welcomed them there. Hey, come on over. They didn't know they were going to take the land over and create a state. Now, the whole idea of this, imagine if we had, like I wrote my book, Journey to the Promised Land, you know, imagine if we basically was continuing this idea of repatriating and building a state, right? Imagine if we would have created educational connections with the state. Imagine if we would have created in engineering programs. Imagine if all our colleges and everything was making this state the basis of everything that we do. We can't do that. Why? Because black people in America, right? We don't know who we are, right? And we basically are probably the most American out of all groups of people in America. We're the most disenfranchised people, right? But I know white people, right, who have been in this country for 300 years. They still have family in Ireland, Scotland. Think about it, England, Italy. They go back. Oh yeah, I got distant cousins over there. Tell me, what does African Americans have outside of what white people say we are? And this is how they can control us after all these years. 45 million people they have completely under control because we have no outlet. We have no way out. Like I said, Liberia was the answer to Black America's problems. We didn't see it at the time. We thought when they dangled the integration in front of our face and assimilation, we took the bait. And we took the bait because we really didn't know who we were. Every other group of people are Chinese. You go to Chinatown and tell them, well, give up your Chinese identity to assimilate fully into America. They're like, you're crazy. They're like, I'm a Chinese. 5,000 years ago, I was Chinese. 5,000 years from now, I'm still going to be Chinese. Well, tell me we're Black America, right? And that's why I said this platform is so good. Search for Uhuru is because people are now looking at their ancestral roots and everything and trying to make that connection, which is good. And so what I'm saying is, if we would have had one place on this planet that we basically could gravitate towards and claim that as ours and say that this is our homeland and everything, we had something outside of America, we'd be stronger right now in this country. Nobody would come up to you and tell you, you got to vote for this. Why? Because like Jews, when you ask a Jew, what's your position? Well, what is it stance on Israel? Okay. What is your stance on the Jerusalem, the capital? What is your stance on the two-state solution? Right. See, these are tangible things that they base their vote and what they are on. What does Black America have in common? Right. We don't have a state. We haven't adopted a state. It'd be great. And let's say if we had one of these African countries that we basically, or even all of them, that we had a relationship with, right? And we had a formulated policy in America and say, look, if you want our vote or not, we got this Federation of African states or whatnot. That's where our allegiance is. You got to do right by them. We don't have that. We don't have any ties to the continent that's tangible. So we can't put anything on the table to say this is what we're going to base our vote around. And rest assured, you go to the Korean community, right? What are they gonna tell you? Well, the policy that's pending in Congress that we gave you like 12 years ago. If you want our vote, you better push that through the floor. Or they'll have a politician go out there and champion that thing. Oh yeah, they'll hug and kiss babies. But the bottom line is this: if you get with that vote, you better fight for that issue that they have pending. They're lobbying for. Do we even have an African American lobbying group? Dynasty, I don't know about.
The Black Caucus, the Black Caucus.
That's another thing.
Hey, hold on, Colin. So Trump presents his platinum plan, right?
Right.
One of the members of the Black Caucus said that they tried to present the same thing, saying a similar plan to Trump, but he rejected it. And my question is, we had a black president for 8 years.
Right.
Why wasn't this presented to the black president?
Because the bottom line is this, Diane, we only have 10 days to the election. They're counting on us being stupid. Once this election is over, they're gonna bring us. Let's say Biden wins, they're gonna say, "That was close."
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna say, "Now, what are we gonna do in the next 4 years?" Right? They're gonna basically bombard us with bamboozle us and everything, and have everything. Like, I will actually tell you the truth. Do they have? Let's say if Biden wins, and nothing's gonna improve in Black America, right? I would love to have a crystal ball and listen to what black people are going to say the next election going around when Biden try to get reelected. I would love to have a crystal ball. What can you possibly say, right? If let's say you gave your vote to Biden, 40 million people already voted, right? 40 million people voted before they saw the last presidential debate. They just made up their mind. We got to get rid of the orange man. Barack Obama's, Donald Trump's responsible for coronavirus. And like I said, so many people have broken it down. Brandon did a good job of breaking it down last night, from A to Z. And a guy that was on the show last night, what's his name, Rick, and this is what it is, emotionalism. From A to Z, when he first mentioned about the virus, the pandemic at the State of the Union, right? He gave Nancy Pelosi papers, right? She rips them up, right there live on camera, right? Pandemic starts breaking out, and people go, "Colin, why are you up here defending Trump?" I'm just like, I'm up for the truth. That's all I care about, the truth, right? You can vote for whoever you want, but just make it based on facts. I don't deal with emotion, right? So therefore, when he does say, we got to stop fights with China, what did they do? People forget about this. I typed this in the chat room last night. Do you remember how people stopped going to Chinese restaurants? Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that? People were boycotting Chinese restaurants, right? They were actually, Cory Booker and all these other people saying, we need to get funding to Chinese restaurants because nobody's eating at them. Now, why is that the government, our taxpayers' responsibility to give money to Chinese restaurants? Because everyone's scared of COVID. They said Donald Trump is responsible for Chinese businesses going out of business. And so people forget all that. Oh, COVID, he's over-exaggerating COVID and all stuff like that. He just trying to get away from impeachment. Then a couple of weeks later, they bring the idiots are walking in from the Congress and Senate to deliver some articles of impeachment. Remember that? The slow walk? Articles of impeachment and everything. This is going on while the pandemic is raising. But people forget about that, because it doesn't matter. People are emotional. When people are emotional, all they have to do, like I said, hey, what gets me is, right now, why is it that this is one thing I don't understand. I never understand this in my life. It was always my assertion that all white people were racist. When did that ever change? Now you got white people talking about he's racist. I said, first I said, well, what about you? What is more racist how is Trump less racist than you are as a white person? When you see a black man, yesterday, I pulled over to the side of the road. I was trying to get out of the heat, right? So I pulled over to the side of the road, and something I just did as an experiment, right? Pull over to the side of the road in this neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to one of my agents. So I was like, asking him, I was trying to get him. I was talking to a couple people, and I just want to call. I just want to sit in the shade right there in this neighborhood on this block, right? I got like around 10 suspicious looks, right? This old white guy walks in his house, right? And he's sitting at his window watching me in his car. I'm looking at him like, what the hell are you looking at? What the hell are you looking at? These are the same people, right? And I said to myself, so first I put myself out there. Usually I just don't do stuff like that. But I said, so fuck it. I was in one of those moves. I was ready for a fight. Let them call the cops, right? Let the cops roll up on me, right? I was in one of those moves, right? Let the cops roll up. So I stood out there. First I was like, well, let me go get in my car and go. Then I said, no, fuck him. Fuck them. I'm sick of the bullshit, right? So I sat there in my car for a minute. I said, I'm going to sit here and take my goddamn time. right? Call the cops. So the guy and one guy comes driving, riding his bike, looking at me like, looking at my car like, he looks like a fucking one of those Antifa dudes too. Look, what's this guy doing sitting here? What's this guy doing sitting here? Fuck you, I'm sitting here. What are you gonna do about it? So what my point I'm trying to make is this though: all white people, right? And you'll be look, even white people who have black friends, black in-laws, relatives, whatever like that, all of them are friggin' racist, right? All of them has said the N-word one time in their life. All of them have basically fear black men. That's what it is. They think you're after their women. They think you're after their job. They think you after they want what I want. I don't want any goddamn thing they have. I got everything I want in life, right? But I still face racism on a daily basis. Are you going to tell me that everybody that's racist and everything is a Trump supporter? No. There's people out there. So don't lose me with this idea when I hear black people joining in conversations about who's racist or not. I hate that. And if you let white people, they will be on this platform right here. Yeah, man, racism. Look, if you really, no, I was gonna say something. I won't say on Dynasty Show.
Don't say.
Yeah, don't say. So,
guys, with that commercial break, guys, hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. Please share the content. Please subscribe again. Please hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. And caller, so somebody in the chat room brought up, what does Liberia have to do with this topic? Like, how would things?
Well, this topic is this, right? If we look back at history, right? What I'm trying to say is this: we black people in America don't even know that there was a strong push for a homeland of their own on the African continent, right? So therefore, we're acting like you look at the political situation we're in right now. It's not even about us. What about the future? If we basically are saying that everything we have is in America, it's a short straw mentality. Everything we have is in America, right? Everything we have is in America. That's a false narrative. I'm trying to say that yes, up until the 1960s, right? There were actually black people who basically said we need a nation of our own. We rejected that, right? For the Democratic Party. And some of us say, okay, Republican, Democrat, Democrat, right? The country of Liberia, right, was a republic, right? Do you understand the highest ideal among a group of people is to achieve republican nationhood? And the fact that we as black people don't value that, wouldn't having a nation of your own solve all your problems? Imagine if you had your own tax base, right? We always say, Diane, you ever thought about this? Black people always talk about, well, we need an organization. We need donations, right? Well, okay, let's go to your city where you have infrastructure, water pumps, sewers, and everything, right? You said all those things you love that give you life, right? Give you sustained life, right? Does the city walk around saying, you know something, you got to pay your local dues? Or do they basically have a tax system? You say you want a safe neighborhood. You want to be safe from white people, right? Wouldn't borders where you control who comes in and out of your country be the answer? Oh, yeah. So all the things you say you want, we need to build, we need banks, we need businesses. Doesn't a nation, right, with institutions, right, make sure those things happen? Do you know Liberia did all that? It was an industrialized economy built by former slaves. That's what I'm trying to talk about right today. And we look at ourselves now in America, right? We look friggin' ridiculous. We can't even decide between someone who's saying $500 billion, look at unemployment, we're going to fix that problem, and another group of party who's done nothing for you for 55 years. That's what I'm talking about. So either you're going to do something or you don't. I want to hear somebody logically tell me, we failed in Liberia. We failed Liberia, right, Dinas, right?
All right.
We bought into integration in America. That failed. 55 years, that failed, right? Is it time for a new president? I believe we could do both. We could either get rid of the Democratic Party, right? Those of us work inside of America, and those of us work with the Pan-African movement to build Africa, right? But keep going the way we are going right now, right? Which is 90% of us are going to turn up for Joe Biden. It's not a solution, not an option. You had 55 years, 56 years, Civil Rights Act, 56 years. 56 years of legal integration, right? Against state sanctions. You had 55 years to get Black America right. And we kept voting for the same people for 55 years. And many parts of Black America has been left behind, okay? Left behind. So therefore, and then when people say, I'm out of here, I want to leave the country, I want to go to Africa, you got people trying to freaking stop them from doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, people say, no, you can't go. We're here. No, we're ADOS. We got our bones.
Boom.
But let me tell you about your bones buried in America. So are the white man's bones buried in America. You know what his bones are doing to our ancestors' bones? He kicking their ass in the grave. We lost. Where are you gonna get it through your thick heads? We lost. So therefore, what I'm saying is this: we were brought over here against our will, right? We were enslaved. We built the wealth of this country, right? We had a chance to leave. A lot of us did, because let me tell you something, Dice, and people, the majority of Black people historically wanted to get the hell out of here.
Right.
It was only to educate the elite and everything, and they control us through the media, tell us about this gradual thing about integration with white people. It's never going to happen. It's a hoax, whatever. And so therefore, we just settle for whatever crumbs we can from the white man's table and everything like that. Now the white man says, he washed his hands of us, right? I gave you 55 years of integration. I did all that right here. Now I don't need you anymore. So he brings the Mexicans in and these immigrants in, everything to replace you, right? Now you have nothing to stand on. You bought into this. And I ask you a question. After this election, what hand do you have to play? How can you deny that maybe 100 years from now, having a nation state of our own and our ancestral homeland, returning to our homeland, wouldn't be a better option than the future in America? It says integration and assimilation did not work. Now, and another thing is say, well, why does everybody want to come here? Look, if you're not an African American slave descendant, right? You don't care about slavery in America. You're coming from a country like you ever see you see that one chick that was nodding her head behind Trump at the town hall, the Black girl.
I think I didn't see that, guys. If you want to call in and ask a question, again, if you want to call in and challenge the caller, okay, if you're gonna chant, you want to call in and challenge caller Thanos.
If you dare,
send me email.
And also, but you see her, she was nodding and everything. First I said, okay, good looking Black woman. Then when I heard her voice, she's a foreigner. Now like I said, okay, there's things I agree with Trump, and there's things I agree with Biden about, right? But she was just sitting there like, yes, because a lot of African immigrants, right? Let's put it like this. A lot of African immigrants, right, appreciate running water, right? Sewer systems, right? Supermarkets, right? Gas stations. They appreciate all these things in schools and everything when they get over here, right? Motherfuckers go over here like, damn, man, I never knew I didn't have to go out and walk 5 miles to get a bucket of water and boil it before I take a shower. They like running water 24 hours a day. They come over here. This is heaven. And this is what they have historically done to Black America, right? They know we're used to this high standard of living.
Guys, in the chat room is my email. If you want to call in, again, if you want to call in, send me an email, huru@searchforhuru.com or huru@searchforhuru.com, and I will send you the link, and you can call in and make your comment, ask your question. Again, huru@searchforhuru.com. Link is in the chat room. And once again, guys, if you want to book your travel anywhere you want to go to on this planet, go to searchforhuru.com and click on the travel tab, and you'll be able to book your travel, everyone. All right, go ahead, Kala.
Yeah, so my point is this, man. Oh, I got a fan club in the chat room. They going at it. Anyway, my point I'm trying to make is this, right? As far as like this, right? People always say, somebody said, Trump needs to pay black people reparations. Look, how are you going to force reparations if you can't even force yourself out of a party that didn't give you shit for 55 years? How is I mean, Diane, is this logic or what? You can't force the Democrats to give you a freaking a red cent, but yet you're going to force a Republican president to give you reparations. Sometimes I think people just in the chat room, I think they're immature, and I think people are just, I don't know, silly. That's not going to happen. Reparations in America is not going to happen. Reparations would have happened, right? So never going to happen, right? Unless America was defeated in war, if Germany would have won the war, if Germany and Japan would have won the war in World War II, right? The first thing they would have did was say, you know something? What Hitler alluded to, right? Hitler alluded to that he wanted to reach out to the black man in America. And
I don't want to talk about Hitler on.
No, but he talked
No.
But let's say that. But what if America would have lost in World War II? You know, right? Then you could have been like, okay, we want America, we owe America, but since America did not win, to the victor belongs the spoils, right? You are not going to basically force America to do anything because America is still in power. So you can cry and whatever like that. Reparations off the table. What is on the table is a promise of $500 billion.
Hold on, one second, Colin. Brother Warren, go to Roland Martin's page, okay? Go to Roland Martin's page, then, Brother Warren. No one's forcing you to be here.
What did he say? What did he say?
Man, he's just whining. Brother Warren, go to Roland Martin's page. That makes you feel better. Go to Roland Martin, Angela Rye, go over there. All right, go ahead, College.
Yeah, so my whole point is this. Like I said, what they don't like is this. The whole thing is this. A lot of these people like Roland Martin, they're disingenuous because Roland Martin and all these people, Al Sharpton, all these people, all they're thinking about is themselves. Roland Martin's trying to get that gig at CNN. If he could deliver the black vote and Biden wins, he could say he'll take credit for it. Say, I was on the thing every day, and the CNN will let him back on. Okay, Roland, you can have your job back. Here's your law office right here. That's all it's about. Al Sharpton, he makes like $5 million a year in his National Inaction Network. He makes $5 million a year, and he's a toast to the town, the Reverend, the good Reverend. That's all it's about. These people.
Yeah, Brother Warren. Go to Don Lemon, Joy Reid. Go over there, Brother Warren. Just go over there. I'll go ahead, Colin.
Yeah.
And guys, hit the like button.
So therefore, this is what you have. You have people out there that's basically, and it's all about black people and our vote, right? That is, can you show me anywhere where they're hounding and browbeating the Chinese community?
No.
So, can you tell me? Joe Biden said that? Well, see, black people, the Mexicans, they're more diverse. They're more diverse. They're more diverse opinion. So they're different things. So this guy just saying he's an outright racist. He don't see black people as complex people who may have different things. The whole idea is they're gonna use racism to scare black people to the polls. It's 2020. We did not have to do this. Do you understand that African Americans built a republic at one time? That we had Black Wall Street? That we built cities like Gary, Indiana, Detroit, Pittsburgh, everything, all New York, we're all built by black labor and black hands. So why are we sitting here acting like we can't make a decision of whether you want to go to the Democrats or Republicans, right? All I'm saying is it's up to you. Use your brain, use your intelligence to make an informed decision. But when people sit there, oh yeah, we got to like that. Okay, you ask the question: what exactly are you basing your love for Joe Biden on? What did he do? Do you know there's a campaign ad out there? I seen Diners today. I couldn't believe what I was saying. Joe Biden actually took credit for Obamacare. He got.
No. Hold on. Actually, Biden said in the last debate that he's going to change Obamacare to Biden care.
Biden care. So basically, and then Obama. Listen, okay, I want you guys to listen to this very carefully. I hope that everybody's listening to this, right? Obama did a rally yesterday, and guess how many people showed up? 45 people showed up.
Now,
Remember
Kyle,
those?
I want to be balanced. Were they restricting the amount of people that could come, or were
No. Nobody showed up. You can still show outside, right? Nobody showed up in the whole perimeter. 45 people. And those are probably people he brought with him. Basically, if you're ex-president, right? Hillary Clinton got bigger crowds than that. He went out there in Pennsylvania stumping for Biden. In order to win Pennsylvania, right? You have to have an enthusiastic in the black precincts, right? You have to have a 99% turnout, right? To even be able to have.
This is the thing, like people are pointing out to this increase in early voting and increase in voter registration. Everybody's pointing to that as far as.
Yeah, but the thing is, there was a lot of Trump voters who voted early too. So that cancels that out. So the whole thing is this, though. What they need is black voter turnout is never over 50%. In order for them to win, they need Obama level turnout. And also, a lot of those people in Erie voted for Obama. Remember, Obama made the comment about bitter Americans clinging to guns and everything, in Western Pennsylvania. Remember that? The Bible and guns. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They tried, the McCain campaign unsuccessfully tried to use that, but they still voted for it. Those are red. Obama turned a huge redneck population to him by his charm, Right. When he was out there, man, it was hard not to like him. He was like this, oh my God, he was everything. Now people are like this because, and also Obama ran before really there was social media.
True.
He was the last president. I remember I was just on social media. I got on 2006, right? And Obama, I didn't really pay attention.
Hold on, African soldier. How do you expect people to come out in the pandemic? I voted in the pandemic. Everybody's out in the pandemic. What are you talking
about? Michael Jordan a couple of months ago released a new pair of Jordans. People were wrapped around the
yeah. They come out for the Jays.
Right, yeah, but you can't come out to vote.
Yeah, for the Jays. Come out.
Check this out. Let Popeyes release a new chicken sandwich, right? Let Popeyes release a chicken sandwich. Negroes will be fighting. They'll be out there like it ain't funny. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the voter turnout in black people is going to be like low, and so they're not going to get that voter turnout. And also, Biden managed to piss everybody off when he lied about.
Michael Jordan has been releasing the same shoe for the past 35.
So what's what I want to know?
He re-releases the same shoe over and over again.
And Michael Jordan has a contempt for black people. He has a real contempt for black people.
Yeah.
And so what gets me is it just because you just want to be seen on line that you got the Jordan? Is that the whole thing?
I don't know. I don't get it. I can't do it. Like I don't get it. I don't get
waiting outside.
Yeah.
Waiting outside the store opens and they go bum rush the store.
Right.
Like this. And so therefore that's what that is. That's what that is. So therefore, if you can go out there and vote, get online for Popeyes. You can get a line for friggin' Jordans. You can get your ass online to vote. That's what I'm saying. So there's no excuse for that. But the whole thing is, what I'm trying to say is this, though. If you're gonna vote, vote based on what your interests are. There's
Colin, really, Jordan has been releasing the same shoe for the past 30-some years. The same shoe.
Yeah.
Oh man, the new Jordan, the Jordan 5 retro, the Jordan 5. Jordan every week. The Jordan 5, the new Jordan 5 colorway instead of white, red, and gray is white, red, and ice gray.
I would love for somebody who's a Michael Jordan sneaker enthusiast to explain this to me. I'm saying I see the same design. This is the same design. Now they got knockoffs who look just like that. You ever see them?
Yeah,
knockoffs who look like. I said, you can go fake it and go to one of these sneaker store and get a knockoff of Jordan. The same thing. What's the difference? But you stand online and people get robbed and get shot up over a pair of damn Jordans. But that's what you want, and so they have a commercial out there talking about take your ass to the pole with a pole dancer, a pole dancer and dancing. And I'm saying to myself,
take your butt to the pole.
I'm saying to myself, that with the TV shows we got right now, Lovecraft and all these other things, I refuse to watch them. You know,
Yeah, I don't
I'll let Dinas watch them for me and tell me about it.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Come
I'm
on,
good.
Dinas, man, watch them for me, man.
I'm not watching none of that stuff.
You know,
Man.
Lovecraft and all stuff like that. You know, all this nonsense, and everything. So Black America, like I said, I think the only thing we really got is these social media platforms. That's why people get angry when they hear this talk. This talk right here, what you hear is what real Black people talk about.
Somebody in the chat said 300 cars showed up to the drive-by Obama rally.
300 cars showed up. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 300 cars. It was like 45 people out there. Went on 300 cars. 300. That's still, that's still not a lot of people. You know, an ex-president, he gets out there on his campaign trail and he only gets 300 cars, whatever. That's still not a lot of people. You know. So, but what I'm trying to say is this though. With this Hunter Biden thing, I'm saying like this: when Joe Biden signed the bill, right, which got minimums for people who possess crack. Remember that thing I was talking about years ago? Black men get 15 years, white people get
rehab.
years. Oh, you
No,
can
get
thank
rehab.
yeah, you can thank Joe Biden for that. When the opioid crisis broke out, nobody's talking about locking them up.
Mm-hmm.
People are talking about basically rehabilitation and everything. They were
Well,
talking about.
we got a caller. Free. Go ahead, Free. Free.
Unmute yourself, bro.
Hold on. Free. Go ahead, Free. Free. Oh man, Okay.
It's
All
not.
right, go ahead.
It's
Yeah,
not.
go ahead.
Back in the days, right? And be honest with you, man. I didn't understand the ramification of all this stuff like that. I didn't know people getting locked up for. And I look at it now, right? Because I was like, anti-drug and everything, right? But the thing is, when you look at the devastation, right? People get locked up for a little bit amount of crack, or whatever, like that. You're doing more harm than you're solving any problems. And Joe Biden, he was part of that. And also not just him, the Congressional Black Caucus and all these other people and everything. So what you have is a large number of people who are going to jail for minor offenses and everything. But in the white suburbs, and they had rehabilitation. And Ocasio-Cortez, no fan of her, but she said that was right. She says, we're locking people up because they're poor, they don't have proper legal representation. In the suburbs, you got resources where they can get. I've seen it. I've seen people, white people, who are in more trouble than black people. They got a leg up because they got a society. And really quick, I'll tell this one story. Right, a couple of years ago, when I was driving Uber, this was back in 2014. Right, I picked this white guy up. Right, and he was about the same age as me. Right, but this guy was telling me that he went through a lot in life. Right, he was telling me, I lost my license. He was telling me he had 3 marriages, but he comes from money. There's a difference. He comes from money. His family owned half of Portsmouth, businesses, everything. He was spoiled, but he was always in trouble, drugs, everything like that. And he said, and guess this. He was telling me he's part owner of a transmission shop, right? He said, I can't drive. I'm a rehab, I'm a probation, and he has a part owner of a fucking business, right? And so he asked me about my story. I said, you know something? I never gave this system one chance for me because I know that I didn't have what you had, to get out of this. I couldn't go in and out of jail and have racked felonies up and then come out of this, right? I would have been just another statistic. I told him that. And I told him, because I said, look, you're a white man. This world is yours. It's for you and everything. I couldn't do that. So I made a constitution when I was a young man to never fall prey to this system. That's what I could do, right? Everything else, that's on them. My point was I was not going to basically I was determined not to become another statistic for my race. And so I basically did it like that. So I took responsibility for myself as a young man. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to hang out with that crowd. I'm not going to do this. And I started getting into politics and my culture and Pan-African and stuff like that to keep my mind focused. So that's what that's what I had coming up. But we have a culture now, right, that we don't have that anymore. the culture now, right? And I don't know how it's going to play out, right? The rappers are the ones that the people listen to, right? And I mean, think about it, right? Boyce Watkins has to get Ice Cube on there, right? Because no one's going to really listen to you, because
Hold on. Free, you there? Free. All right, brother. Free, get it together,
Yeah,
brother.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead. Free. Okay, you got to get it together, bro. You got to get it together. All right, go ahead, Kala.
Yeah. So like I said, now, I don't know how this is going to play out, right? Okay. Oh boy,
Go.
Nappy.
Nappy, go ahead.
Peace. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Go ahead.
Okay, I just got two short things to say. All right, really, it's a question. Would you agree that if Biden loses, that the person who will be hurt the most out of everybody would be Obama? That here you have, remember all the heavy hitters that Hillary Clinton brought. Obviously, Obama, Jay-Z, all the big celebrities. She threw the house at Trump. He still won. If Obama can't deliver this time, what political what use does he have?
He's finished.
I mean,
but who cares? I mean, my thing is, who cares? I was telling somebody this today. In 2008, I voted for Obama. There was a red flag. I'm gonna tell you what that red flag were. Really red flags. When Barack Obama got on national TV and renounced Louis Farrakhan and Jeremiah Wright, I was like, I started looking at it sideways.
And then threw black men under the bus.
Then you had the Libya situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, people, when the NBA players decided to boycott, people like, yeah, the NBA players about to rise up. They're gonna rise up. Guess who convinced them to go back and dribble the basketball?
Your man Obama.
Oh, I mean, it's just like I don't understand the obsession with this guy, man. I don't get it.
There is. I mean, for me, the law of diminishing returns came in after he gave that speech on black men. That's when things just started going downhill. But
he still got elected, though.
He still got elected, and they brought him in again. But this here, and people aren't even talking about it. If Biden loses, he's done. He's done. And regarding Ice Cube, don't put Ice Cube in the same vein as these other black celebrities. Ice Cube, to his credit, came with the plan. And the Democrats, for some reason, tried to take advantage of him, and he just caught wind of it. All right. They thought he was just another celebrity and he would just fall in line. It's like, nah, and he, obviously he didn't meet her. He really drew a blueprint of how to approach this without looking like a stooge, and I really like how he played it out. Now, in his plan, the whole black responsibility, that rubbed me the wrong. I don't know if you read his plan, that whole thing where he's saying we got to take responsibility. I mean, that whole thing rubbed me the wrong way.
Yankee, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What is it about the term responsibility that black men don't like? Is it because we live in captivity?
I don't have any problem with that, but what does that have to do? Why does that have to be brought up against people who wronged us?
Well, let me say this, right? Let me say this, brother. With all due respect, right? Okay, I'm gonna put this right. If you're going, if two people, two sides are fighting, right? You're wrong, you're wrong and everything, but you still gotta have a job to do. In other words, basically, we understand that the white man fucked us up. That's the whole reason why you got to do something in our directly for us. One thing he specifically said was not minorities, because we for 55 years they've been saying minorities, people of color, disadvantaged, anything vague and abstract to get away from dealing with black people, particularly black men. Directly. That's the only way they could sell anything of the disadvantaged groups,
Right.
No, we're talking about African American. Remember, so you know who they put in there as a main beneficiary as a disadvantaged group? Tell them, Dennis. Back in the days, white females.
Right.
Yeah, he mentioned that. He brought that up.
White females, you know. Now, look, back in the 1960s, there were no white women on Wall Street. There were no white women in newsroom. There were no Murphy Browns and all stuff like that. It was all white men. How is it not even a decade later, right, in the 70s, when you see all these white women who are getting this? I watched a documentary where these young white women graduating from college, they're going to be the new, they say they're going to put a marriage offer and pursue a career. It's that because they were swept up in a wave in America, right, of black people. We galvanized the wave and everybody else benefited from it, you know? So all these, so therefore, they were never really serious about the problem that they created. They created a problem by bringing us here in the first place, right? And then they created the institutions, the culture that kept black people to this day marginalized, right?
Right.
We're marginalized everything. So therefore, for them to sit there and say we have no responsibility, right? What they do is they use immigrant whites, right?
Right.
Immigrants whites will say, when they're dishonest, say, "Oh, I came over here and we helped build it." America was not built by immigrants. Somebody said this last night on Dynasty Show. America needs built. America was not built by damn immigrants. America was built
black
by
folks.
people who were built by blacks, Anglo-Saxons, everything like that. Immigrants came after the fact, after the country was already built. We need you to code. They brought immigrants here because if you have black people building things like the Erie Canal and all stuff like that, they're gonna naturally want to be part of the society that they built. That's natural, you know. So therefore, what they did was say, you know something, history's gonna judge us, right? We will be unjust, right, to not only use their labor in slavery, right, but after slavery, Reconstruction, we helped rebuild the South, and then after that, they said, "Screw you! We're not going to give you a part of it. We're going to put you back in segregation and all shit like that." You know, that's when I wrote my novel. That's when black people said we had enough. This is the way it's going to be forever. That was lost in history. Read my novel, Journey to the Promised Land. It'll tell you why black people made the decision. We got to get the hell off this continent because we're never going to get anything. My point is this: they use immigrants, right, to say, "Oh, like somebody made the comment last night. Well, immigrants come over here and they do it." And every time they use immigrants, right? That's a different case. Immigrants basically are grateful to get that green card and come over here. You know, you can't expect people who built this country, right? It's like somebody, brother Yankee, who robbed you of $1 million, right?
Right.
And then when you come back, he gives you a little bit back, and when he tells you better be grateful for whatever you give back.
He was saying responsibility. He was talking about our responsibility, and the basis of his program is economics for black people. So he said in that part of his contract that, hey, you know, black people, we have to take our own responsibility for what's going on in the neighborhood. My thing is this: if our economics are right, okay, and if our economics are right, most of the problems that we have, as far as, you know, I guess he's talking about gangs and or more, it's usually a lot of it is economically based. Once that's taken care of, then everything.
No, you haven't. No, I think what he's saying, don't interrupt, is you have some sort of legitimacy to take on the gangs and everything. Right now, we don't have no legitimacy. Everything has to do with reward and punishment. You can't punish somebody you can't reward. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't go to gangs and tell them stop the gang banging and do what? Like yesterday I was on an appointment, right, with a client, right? It's broad day in the afternoon, right? I went out on the street right now, and guess who I see at the end of the block? Like 10 of them. Bloods out there with their, and they thought I was a cop, you know. They was like, "Oh man, 5-0." But I'm sitting out there. I looked at these dudes like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." You know, I felt like saying, "Man, put your mask on, man." Yeah.
What part of town were you in? A bad part of town or a good part?
Well, this is a problem. This is what I'm talking about. This is the crux of it. I want everybody to listen to this, right? Okay. These are black homeowners, right? These are homes that people supposedly own. Sunrise Hills. Google Sunrise Hills in Chesapeake.
Well, no, that's how it was in LA. Like, I mean, the majority.
These are homes. This shouldn't be a bad neighborhood.
When the Bloods first started, like their families owned their homes and like, yeah.
I understand that usually if you've seen a bunch of them, I always just ask what part of town are you in? Because you know, listen, if I walk around the city, like once in a blue moon, I'll see somebody with their pants sagging and he looks like a clown, but you don't see most black people like that. So
Right,
I don't.
but the thing is, those people dominate the culture in the community. Those are the people on Instagram. Those are the people. Now, I thought, you know, Diane, I was naive. I thought when black people had the idea of having videos or putting it in it, we see a better side of Black America, right?
Mhm.
I
Right.
had no idea. Then what comes along? World Star Hip Hop. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The very
Well,
worst actions in Black America are now on social media, and that's what Africans think we're World Star Hip Hop. You know, people in Congo
mhm,
like, oh, they don't bring that stuff down here. I'm like, that's not the real Black America. You know, you listen
mhm.
to Search for Uhuru, Dinah Samir. That's the real young black man. You know. So the bottom line, so therefore, we got this battle of social media. People, I thought that there were people would put enough positive content out there, and the world would see us as a better light. But it did
Well,
not happen.
let me also say this too, because what Ice Cube did, because you notice how he got beat up by a lot of Democrats. You saw Roland was almost offended if you saw that interview. Roland was like trying to
Oh,
get him, and you know what I'm
yeah,
saying.
I saw that.
All of these Democrats, Roland, you had Joy Reid and her crew, but he made it okay to attack the Democrats because Ice Cube is a different. He's not like one of these rappers. He's not like Puffy. He's not a
Right.
guy who's got any sort of. He's not a weirdo or anything like that. He comes off as a regular everyman. He was always like rap
Right.
hip hop's man's man, and I
Check this out.
think
Check this
this.
out. He's married 24 years to the same wife.
Yes,
You know, he's doing all the things. He got businesses, everything. I love his movies, man. I remember
right.
his first movie was Dangerous. What's it? Straight Out no, not Straight Out Compton. What was
Boys
it called?
in
Boys
the
in the
Hood.
Hood.
Yeah.
Boys in the Hood, and then he had Dangerous Ground, a good movie. I like that movie he made like last year, Fist Fight. You remember that? That was a funny
Yeah,
movie. You know,
yeah. He
Are we
made
there
it
yet?
okay because they set it up where if you attack the Democrats, somehow you're a coon. And he set it up where, nah, you know what? You guys are doing nothing but using us. I think people are going to take a different tack now towards, approaching the Democrats. Hopefully the Democrats understand. But again,
I don't
just
think
that
so.
I hope so, because I think that was a strong message he gave.
No,
And
let me
hopefully
ask you. Let me ask you a question.
sure,
The
sure.
Democrats, the only way they can survive, right, is by holding Black America in chains, right, and
Right,
telling all these other groups of people, you don't worry about them. We got their vote, right? We're gonna
right.
use racism to scare like a racism boogie doll, you know.
Yeah, the boogeyman.
Racism, and
Yeah,
they're gonna have the boogie doll. And black people, you got big ass, strong, strapping black men who scared like little children.
right,
Racism,
right.
you know. And the bottom line, and there's another thing too, right? And Diane said, good on the show last night. I want you to call in if you're a brick and mortar business and buy anything like that. Nobody called in. Why? Because
Well, one lady called in
I heard that. Yeah,
to
she's talking about
discuss her friend's business that if they get shut down again, it's a wrap for them.
what
That's
gets me
still
is this.
like I just want people with a brick and mortar business. Can you afford another shutdown? Because
All,
Biden and Kamala has pretty much clearly said that they're more than likely going to shut down the country again. I'm saying if you are black with a brick and mortar business, can you afford another shutdown? Let's get emotions aside. Can you afford another shutdown?
And these big chain
also,
companies,
Ice
they'll
Cube.
be all right. Good, brother.
Also, Ice Cube said that one word that no one says. He mentioned reparations. Now, the fact that he's, hooked up with ADOS, I mean, whatever, but, he did, and this was after Tone went after him too. So I don't know what that was, but he mentioned reparations, and this is something that Democrats haven't been mentioning. So again, I think that people really got to follow, a lot of these guys got to follow his lead and don't go there for photo ops. Come there with a plan. I think that was a good thing, bro.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
The other groups of people, Nappy Yankee, where are you from? You from the Caribbean?
My parents are from Jamaica. Whole family's Jamaican, England, and Canada.
Or were you ever live in the United States or born here?
No, I was born here,
You're
but
born
I've
here,
been to
okay.
other places.
But you have a lot of connections overseas, outside of America, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So your outlook towards this is completely different than somebody who's, I hate to say the word ADOS, right? So
No, I
you
want them to get their reparations. I'm not against it at all.
the first thing that black people need to do is we got to know who the hell we are.
Right.
We have to know who we are. You know, and with reparations actually comes, you know, this idea that maybe you might have to part ways with America. That's why we're talking about Liberia today. You know,
Ah,
what if black people said, you know something, I want reparations because I want to resettle in the Congo. I want to resettle in Namibia. You know, that
right.
would be feasible. But I don't think after you get reparations, whatever like that, what you're basically saying is you are
They want to integrate. They just say they want to
you
integrate.
cannot integrate into
That's what they
America and
want. That's
say
exactly what
reparations
they
at the same
want.
time. So what I'm
That's the
saying
problem
is,
I have with ADOS.
it takes out the problem is, you know, ADOS. You know, where ADOS came from.
Right.
ADOS came because Dinah Samir, right,
Mhm.
and went and I myself went to go see Black Panther, right,
Hmm.
and Dinah Samir's show was getting popular 2 years ago, right,
Hmm.
and Yvette Carnell was like, Africa got to be completely off the table. You know, we can't deal with
Right.
other black people, whatever like that. You know, before she
Right.
wasn't talking that before, right? After the popularity of the movie Black Panther and this idea of not Pan Africa, but cultural Afrofusionism and Africa being a place to go to, a place to invest, a place to visit, a place to one day move to, whatever. Like, in other words, putting Africa on the table. See, the whole thing is this: they don't want Africa on the table
Can
at all. They want it off the
Hmm.
table. That's what the whole idea of so-called ADOS is. So therefore, they
Right.
created. So therefore, so okay. What's your plan? So what they did was they created this fake thing called reparations movement, which I don't believe they're really serious. You cannot
Yep.
talk about reparations, right? And
Well,
talk about
you know that
assimilate.
Darity broke up with them, right?
Of course,
Oh,
yeah.
hold on one second. Commercial break real quick. Guys, make sure you go to dynastamir.com. Make sure you go to dynastamir.com. Again, dynastamir.com, buy your merchandise. Please join the email list as well. And also go to searchforhuru.com. Click on travel. Book your travel through Search for Uhuru. Josephine, go ahead and make your statement. Well, one second, Josephine. Nappy Yankee, why did they break up? And then Josephine, there's some
No,
feedback coming.
no, something. But look, I know that they from what I understand, Darity was kind of, from what I understand, Darity was kind of clout chasing and kind of using him all this time because he was, he has other interests. That's from what I understand. And Yvette and Tone kind of caught wind of it, and they kind of broke away. There's been a few like small major shakeups of some loyalists too. Not everybody, but Darity, from what I understand, that's what happened. He was, he had one foot in ADOS, but he had his other foot in other interests. ADOS is kind of a firebrand. So, he just wanted to, I think he just wanted to kind of separate from some of the things that they were doing. I think that might have happened.
So who separated from who? Did Darity initiate it, or was it Yvette?
I think Darity, from what I peeped, Darity was doing some sort of funny stuff, and Yvette called him out on it on Twitter
Like,
a
what was he?
couple of
What was he
times.
doing?
And
What was he doing? Like, do you know? Or
you know what? From what I
I'll look it
understand,
up. Yeah, I'll look it up. Josephine, hold on. Josephine, go ahead.
but I
Josephine, go
know they
ahead.
broke up.
Josephine, go ahead.
Okay. Hi everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Uh, First of all, I want to let you know that maybe because you keep asking people to hit the thumbs up, and many people are censored, like myself, so I cannot,
How are you?
hit the
How are you?
thumbs up.
How are you censored?
Say that again.
You're censored. How are you censored?
Well, because I usually try to tell the real story instead of the lies, when I correct people. And many people are very sensitive instead of just being logical. Uh, as far as I am concerned, if we do not deal with the truth, but we make up things, then we'll never have a solution to the problems we have.
Okay.
And I believe as Africans and as Black people, we have tendency to embellish or to refute the truth and make up a beautiful story that we can handle because we cannot really handle the truth in many situations. And so that's one thing I think it's important for us to kind of work on so that we can really tackle the real problems. And the Carla said a lot of things that are very true, but that people don't deal with it and refuse to deal with it because we don't see as big as Carla is seeing. We tend to see things at a very macro level. Like, for example, right now, uh, we have this issue between the blacks and the whites, but at the same time, we have the bigger issue, which is humans with against the controllers. Basically, the controllers of the universe. They are the one who has put all of us in this situation. So all of us here are like the masses. We are fighting among us while we should be fighting against the controllers that are creating all these problems. Yet we never talk about that. We never really acknowledge that, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the
It's kind of off topic. Can you stay on topic, please?
yes. I'm trying, but the thing about saying on topic is that we keep going around and around, right? Anyway, so regarding the topic, saying some of the things Kala said earlier about having our own country, having the others and the fundamental Black American go back to Africa. Well, the thing about Africa, Africa is like 54 countries. And so Africa also has their own set of issues. And my thing is, if we vote for Biden, who has been in power for at least 47 years, we're going to keep getting what we have gotten in the last 47 years. So my thing is that since Trump came, all the countries on earth has been saying, oh, let's make Nigeria first. Everybody's talking about making their country better, and we all having this discussion. We'll never would have been able to have that, like say, even 8 years ago, because of the controllers. So all I'm saying, Trump might have all these faults we're talking about, but if we don't have a a situation where we can actually talk about all these things, we'll never make progress. So once Biden comes, we'll go back the situation. We'll all be controlled like he used to be before. Thank you for listening.
Oh, no problem.
She was absolutely right about that. If Biden wins, everything's gonna go right back the way it was. They're gonna bring a cyber relief or whatnot, and so all this hype. What it's gonna also say too. I always thought Jason Black and all that. We got this new black media out here. We got the new leadership. If your new leadership, if it all comes down to the last thing Black America is relevant is every 4 years at a vote, right? That's how it's gonna be. Okay, if this rapper, if the only thing it takes you to get black people to vote is your rapper, they're gonna start grooming friggin' what's his name, Trippy Red. What was I can't think of some of these rappers'
Ah,
names.
man, who cares, man? Oh, God, I can't
What
tell.
let's name some rappers. 21 Young Boy, no Young Boy,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Young
NBA
Boy.
young boy. I seen that one.
Uh,
NBA
so
young
they're
boy.
gonna say, something, just like they did back in the days when they found the gangster. We could sell to the building the suburbs and make millions of dollars. They're gonna start grooming these rappers, right, to be influencers of Black vote. And what gets me is white people don't understand that the white man is not gonna let up. If it's everything is kicking the can down the road. If we could just go ahead and get through this election cycle, they pass the bullshit on to the next thing. And Obama was like, yo, look, man, I'm just trying to go for my legacy, my family and everything, and I'll kick the can down the road. And he thought black people would be like, oh, okay, yeah, Obama. Yeah, you did nothing for us. You helped the LGBTQ. Kennedy helped put the man on the moon, right? Obama helped put a man in a woman's bathrooms. Obama did absolutely nothing for black people, but he went hard. Loretta Lynch, when Eric Holder went out there, the first thing she said out of her mouth, right when Eric Garner was choked out, and she was from New York, right? I'm gonna fight hard for the transgender people. Nothing about nothing. They said nothing about Trayvon Martin. Nothing. No prosecution. No nothing. But we let that slide. We black people let that slide. Because we want to be protected from the orange man. We want like that. So we supported Hillary Clinton. Not all of us, but most of us supported Hillary Clinton. And so the bottom line I'm trying to say is this, though. After this election cycle, right, they're going to realize they don't have to promise you. Trump promised you all this, said what he did, gave money to HBCUs, did all this stuff like that, right? And you go and reject him and go with Biden, who's corrupt, his son's corrupt, everything. The world's going to say black people ain't worth shit. Don't even bother campaign for them. Don't promise them nothing. Back fact, they're going to end up calling you nigga right there on the convention floor. Now, you niggas go out there and vote. That's what's coming down to. What are you going to do about it?
Well, there's people on my page that's already said that Joe Biden could literally call them the N-word. They're still going to vote for him. Let's see. We got Mike. Cabo, Mike. Cabo.
Mike's on the line. Oh, boy.
Mike.
Mike, man.
By the way, Dinus. Go ahead.
Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Dinus. How are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, excellent. Shida Dani, Shalafian.
Lafayette Nimowa. That's
I gotta learn that.
Hey, Carlo, what's up, man?
What's up, Mike? What's going on, bro?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm not an expert on politics, man. Like party politics and stuff like that. I'm really not an expert. But one thing I discovered is that the Democrats are very bad when it comes to business, man. To be honest, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm into project management, And whenever the Democrats are about to come in, it's like everybody start fucking getting mad, dude. It's like the income is gonna drop, because what happens is when they start going after those top guys, those wealthy guys, when they start going after their pockets, because what it is this: those wealthy guys, they're the one that actually invest a lot into projects, and the more money they pour into projects, the more opportunity they create for us, those that are into project management, And whenever we're getting so much opportunity, we make a lot of money, And when we make a lot of money, we tend to hire more people, Like while Trump is in office right now, I have several employees, I'm doing very well. And right now we're all panicking because once they come in, the first thing they start doing is just going after those guys, those
regulations.
Yeah, they start regulations, and also when those top 1% you guys complain about, those guys are the one putting a lot of money. They love making money, so the way they make their money is to invest their money into projects. And once they put in those money into projects, they create a lot of opportunity.
I got an idea. We could all
and
move to China.
And once Democrats start taxing and taking a lot of money from them, they're trying to pull it back on their investments. Investing into projects, So that's one area. That's one thing that lean me towards Republicans. So a lot of people don't like me because even relative, when I say, hey, man, guys, please go for Trump, they hate me. Not because I'm not saying they don't understand that I'm not into who's right or who's wrong, who's a better, who's not. I don't care. I'm a kind of person. I don't need politicians to change my life.
You vote your interests.
I vote for my interests. Exactly.
Intelligent man.
Exactly, So most people don't understand that, until they get to that point where, hey, you stand on your own and you start to look at, okay, what's my best interest, And another thing is, a lot of Black people, especially even some immigrants, some Africans, they're culturally they are conservative. They believe in family values and all those things, and most of them will run to go vote for Democrats and don't realize that the Democrats are not really. Their liberalism is opposite of the conservative culture that you practice. People don't know. People just rush.
Sally has two moms.
But on the other end, one thing I've heard you guys talk a lot about Democrats destroying the Black community, and like I said, I'm very ignorant when it comes to this politics. But I've been trying to educate myself. But I'm still quite convinced in some areas. I think, one area I can say, they're destroying the communities. They're giving too much handouts and things like that. But I can't blame them. If what you ask for is handout and they're giving you, then I can't blame them for that. Another thing you guys said that I'm still troubled by, and I'm still trying to validate if it's true, is the crime bill that you guys talk about a lot. That sponsored a crime bill to deliberately lock up black people, black men. I'm still not sure about that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're okay. I noticed that a lot of people were locked up from the crime bill, and a lot of black people were locked up as well. But
Unnecessary. And also, remember something.
let me go. That's another reason. That's one thing that I was kind of debating. What the hell did they deliberately do that to target black people? It's kind of similar to SARS in Nigeria. Let me finish Kala real fast. Because when the government created SARS in Nigeria, they didn't create it to target young people or anybody, but it ended up becoming that. So maybe what I'm thinking is maybe when they created a crime bill, it wasn't deliberately created. It wasn't it wasn't a deliberate thing to go after black people, but maybe the cops kind of were abusing it and
let me answer that, bro. Why are you going on? Let me because you're saying a whole lot. What I'm saying, when they put the crime bill, you got to understand the context. You have to understand. You have to be. Were you living in the United States at the time in the early '90s?
Yeah, I was in the late '90s, not early. I witnessed the old time where mass incarceration was taking place. I have a lot of friends that were locked up as well. Yeah.
'92, we had the LA riots. We had the proliferation of gangster rap. White America was terrified of the inner city. We had the Central Park thing that happened. We had several racial incidents that happened in this country. White people were literally terrified of black people.
You mean
white
criminals,
people,
not black people?
No. Black. It had nothing to do with
black people. Black people.
Black people.
Oh, okay.
White people was seeing black guys dating white girls.
Oh.
They said all these African immigrants, my brother, love you. But the fact that there used to be a time where if you were walking down the street with a white woman, you can get killed.
Yeah, I know the history. Yeah.
My uncle, I had an uncle that was killed in 1955 in Florida. My grandmother's younger brother, was killed in Florida because a white girl said hello to him, and some rednecks heard about it, and they came. Good looking young man. She said,
"Oh, trust me, I heard many stories, man. In the South, I live in the South. I've heard stories from my elders.
That's not the stories I heard. Those are stories of my family. So the bottom line is this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing still with a culture that was apprehensive about seeing black men walking around free. It has nothing to do with criminals, right? Because if I'm not a criminal, I face racism and stuff like that all my freaking life. So I'm not going to put it on black criminals. The crime bill was sponsored to basically say to white people, Democrats and white people, we got this under control. But they didn't see the unintended consequences of what that bill was. A lot of Congressional Black Caucus didn't see that. What the crime bill did was also gave the police all this power. Before, it basically took the federal government, took its hands off local police departments and everything. Police had qualified immunity and all the stuff like that. You couldn't sue them and everything. So the police, they gave the police, these blue collar, semi-educated white men for the most part, power. And the whole thing was keep these black people in line. That's what it was all about. It had nothing to do.
Can you specify this power exactly? I want you to educate me. Like I said, I'm ignorant in these things, so I'm still learning. I'm just trying to be clear.
Ask the question again.
Like, can you be specific? Can you specify what you mean by power? Like the power and
the police. Unlike you, look at it. Go to UK. Do the police driver walk around with guns? No, they walk around nightsticks, right? I seen an incident where in the UK where this guy was coming at the police with knives and everything. They took the guy alive. In America, you pull a gun on a cop, right? The whole system will back that cop up when he puts a bullet in your head. That's what I mean by power. Betty Shelby blew away Terrence Crutcher. So I remember all these names, right? Because I pray for these black men.
So was it a crime bill that created that, or
no?
You're still not being specific about this crime bill.
Basically, it gave these cops, police precincts, almost a license to kill. Do what you want. There's going to be no federal oversight.
Okay, can you cite the law that can you give? Okay,
one second, Mike, because Kyle, that was going on since the beginning. As far
thank you.
But what I'm saying is this: also the office of the only thing people don't realize this, right? The only thing really protecting black people, right, was this so-called Office of Civil Rights. The Civil Rights Department and Justice Department used to oversee incidents of dealing with the police. It's under the civil rights law. But over the years, the civil rights office has been gutted, left. It's like they don't even. Look at what happened to Trayvon Martin. That was a civil rights case. Was they prosecute? Was George Zimmerman brought up a civil rights?
Yeah, but I think
So
what
was
Mike
it a crime bill?
hold on, Mike. I think what Mike's trying to get to, all that was going on before the crime bill. So
right, it was. But what I'm saying is this though: at the same time, right, people were getting locked up on charges, right? Charges like if you go there and get mandatory minimums, you know what I'm saying? Parole, and then a caveat to the crime bill in California, 3 strikes law, 3 felonies, and you go to jail for life, something. So all that came out of the crime bill. But now people are saying, well, geez, we're putting people in jail for crack cocaine. They're doing 30-year sentences and everything, which is unnecessary and everything. All these things. If you would look at the floor when they were voting on that crime bill, every last single senator, Democrat, Republicans, yeah, we got to do it. And then also they created a thing called the Kingpin Law out of the crime bill. You say what the Kingpin Law was?
What is that?
The Kingpin Law wasn't like look at the mafia. The mafia was a real threat. The Italian mafia, right? The Kingpin Law was directly aimed at black inner city drug dealers. After the movie New Jack City came out, right? The Kingpin Law said that if you have a gang, a drug gang, right? And if somebody is murdered, right? Even if you didn't do it, right? Even if you didn't order it, right? You can get the death penalty. Several people I knew in Virginia got the Kingpin statutes, right? And they got the death penalty, even though they didn't pull the trigger. That came out of the crime bill.
Okay, Kala. Okay, from what I understand right now is this crime bill law was basically targeting the black. Wait, targeting. From what you just explained,
I'm not saying that. You're saying that.
I didn't even say anything. You say I'm not saying that. What did I say?
No. You keep saying. You said several times it's targeted to black. I never said.
That. I didn't say black. I didn't say black. I didn't finish the statement.
Let me give an example. Okay, let me put it to you like.
I didn't finish the statement. Can I finish the statement?
Hold on, Mike. Let me say this right. Say this right here. If you pass a law, right, in New York City, right now, saying that the subway fares are going to cost $40 for a day pass, right? $40 a day, right? Now, what group of people are going to be most hurt by that? Even though everybody has to pay.
Poor people.
The majority of people who are low income in New York City are what race?
A lot of Hispanics and a lot of blacks.
Oh, no. Majority of people.
And a lot of immigrants. A lot of brand new immigrants.
Let's say like this. Look, bottom line is this, right? If they pass that law, and $40, you got to pay $40 for a subway fare, or you don't get a subway and everything. And they say,
well, let's stick to the crime bill. I mean, let's stick to the crime bill. I'm trying to be educated. I don't know. I need you to educate me.
Hold on. What I'm trying to get you to understand is the crime bill wasn't like this. When Joe Biden said that we're going to lock these SOBs, who are they talking about? Is he talking about a white guy like his son who's on crack who could have robbed somebody?
So, Mike, I'll give you a prime example. So, do you know what crack cocaine is?
Yes.
Okay, so crack cocaine is pretty much what's the word I want to use?
It's the worst kind of drug, man. Like
but what crack cocaine is? What's the word I want to use? Goodness, it's not pure cocaine. Like it's
it's more chemical. Yeah,
right. So crack cocaine, it comes from so basically, if you get caught with crack cocaine with the crime bill, you got a higher sentence than if you got caught with cocaine, even though crack cocaine was like, what's the word I want to use? God damn, guys, help me out in the chat.
Equivalent. You got more.
Crack cocaine is more destructive than regular cocaine, than a normal cocaine. Crack cocaine is 10 times more destructive.
No. But the thing is, crack cocaine is. But the thing is, crack cocaine is like a derivative from cocaine. But it's what's the word I want to use? Not byproduct. It's well, it is a byproduct, but it's I can't. Goodness.
Crack cocaine is made out of cocaine, but it's also mixed with like kind of like baking powder.
Yeah,
kinds of
well,
stuff.
that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, crack cocaine was like the poor black people's drug. Cocaine was the rich white people's drug. But if you got caught with crack cocaine, you got a higher sentence than you did with cocaine, even though crack cocaine it's not a concentrate.
And also,
But Dennis, don't you think that's because crack cocaine is more destructive than regular cocaine? Because you're not living in the inner cities, and we know how many people. Every one of us here have
diluted. That's the word. Dilute. Thank you, man. Diluted. Crack cocaine was a diluted form of cocaine.
Every one of us here have been exposed to at least friends or close ones that have been victim of drugs, and we all can agree that crack cocaine is way more destructive than regular cocaine. I've seen people that started doing cocaine and were able to kind of recover. I mean, but crack is like you hooked for life. So where I'm going is this: when people use that excuse that why are they giving someone that sells crack cocaine more sentence than someone that sells regular cocaine? It's like saying why give someone that commit murder longer sentence than someone that commit robbery.
Well, Mike, let me say this.
So where I'm going is this: like, yes, if they're making those laws.
So you really believe
to me, I see that law as a favor to the community than a hurt. Because if you ask me, anyone is willing to sell crack to somebody else, to me, I think you should get capital punishment.
Right. Let me say this, Mike.
So it's looking to me like we kind of like looking out for people that are doing something crazy. Then
Mike, we gotta let us have a conversation, bro. You say
okay? Go ahead.
Okay, my whole thing is this though. They were bringing in whole keys. Drug dealers who were dealing kilos of cocaine wholesale was getting less time than somebody peddling crack on a retail level. That's the problem. You know, there was basically like that. But the whole thing is this. Now, in our community, right? In our community, everybody stood against the crack deals and everything. I don't know why we were basically defending crack deals. I don't understand it because basically like this. Black people said, forget you. You know, you selling crack, whatever. But the fact of the matter remains is you had a law that was unfair. And so when you talk about the law, right? The law at least have to be fair, right? No one's defending crack dealers. Right?
Unfair to criminals, not black people.
Hold on.
Unfair to black criminals, but not to black people.
Hold on. When you say criminals, right? You say criminal. We had this conversation before, right?
Yeah.
You're not a criminal until you've been convicted of a crime. You know, you see what I mean?
You can be a criminal and not be convicted. Many criminals get away.
But the thing is, in this country, right, a mafia boss could walk down the street. He's got murderers under his belt. But because he has been convicted, the police will say hello, whatever like that. You know, hey, how you doing? Hey, Sal, how you doing? Only black people, right? Let's say we're criminals, right? You're a criminal before you've even been convicted in court. I don't care if a person's a criminal, right? Until you arrest him or bring charges on him, right? He is innocent until proven guilty. What you're saying is we should just don't care as long as they're going after criminals. Well, who's a criminal? You haven't proven anything until the person's been convicted of a crime.
Kyle, it always looked to me like you spend a lot of energy trying to defend.
Yeah,
like
let me.
I'm not trying to defend black people.
You spend more energy trying to defend black criminals than trying to defend the community.
Mike, I hate criminals.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Mike,
Nappy.
if I may say this, Mike, basically, I think what Dinus is saying, you got to prove. Like for a long time in New York, people were like in the late 80s, they were trying to prove that John Gotti was in the mafia, and everybody was looking at him like, duh. But you had to prove it though, and he didn't go down until one of his own men came out and said and just ratted him out. But you had to actually prove it, even though everyone knew. And as far as Dinus, I think you kind of made a good point in that. Well, in what you're saying, in that we look at the Biden's law, but we have to start looking at people who approved of a lot of these laws. Like people bring up the Biden law like it's just white people. There's a lot of black people.
The Congressional Black
Caucus also voted for it. Like, like when W got elected the second time, people forget that a lot of the black churches, like you'd ask a lot of the black churchgoers, they'd say, why'd you vote for W? Because W was pushing abortion. And they would tell you, yeah, my reverend told me to vote for him. And it's really the black reverend, they have a lot of power. They're the ones. So when we talk about these things historically, we really got to start putting the black people who helped push them through on blast. Remember, Clyburn is the one who chose Biden, Jim Clyburn. So
Yeah,
you got to
Clyburn,
focus on him just as much as you focus on Biden. Yeah, you got to focus on these older black voters. A lot of them Christian reverends and stuff. Focus on them as hard as you focus on Biden. I think that's important. By the way, Diners, the reason Darity broke away, I think they found out he was a Biden supporter, that he was voting for Biden. That was the main reason.
But this is what I don't understand about ADOS. They'll say don't vote in the presidential election, but vote Democrat down the ballot. I don't get that.
Right. Well, nothing. You know what does it, like, if you could, because I know Collis, you're Collis, Thanos, and what have you. Speaking of ADOS or FBA, I saw Tariq's latest interview. You know, I don't know if you saw when he was explaining the ADOS FBA distinction on Lord Jamar. I mean, you got to tell me, he mentioned what made up FBA, and he mentioned money. No, but I know, but he was basically making the stuff that he was going along. But he mentioned two names, Al Musudi and Muhammad Al Idrisi. He said those two explorers, but those are two white Arabs. They're like the Moors. One day,
man, they on this Moorish, the white.
But they're white Arabs. How do people that look like you or me or Kala, how are they come from them? So
it's called illogic.
But Jamar didn't check them on
it up as they go along.
Yes, but I looked those guys up. I'm like, what? So maybe this is not the show, but maybe one day you can break down how those two, they're white Arabs, those two guys, how they created a Kunta Kinte looking guy.
I put it out there, right? Anybody that wants to call in, be on the show and debate about the Olmecs and the Moors and stuff like that, they're more than happy to come on here and debate me, and I'll take them apart.
I gotta look that up now, man. Because so you mean the Moors came from a bunch of white Arabs?
No, this is what let me say something about the Moors, right?
Yeah,
the Moors didn't appear until I would say like the after like the Protestant Reformation, somewhere around there.
Right.
And the Moors were basically people who practiced Islam. The term Moor comes from Almoravids, the people of Mauritania. These were Bedouins, these were Arabs, these were Persians, these were all people, and the Barbary people on the north coast of Africa, and all these other people, right? And the Belai and the Haritans, right? Two types of Moors. The Belais were the white Moors, the Haritans were the black Moors. Now, just like you have black Americans, right? Like you have black Frenchmen, right? Just like you have black Englishmen, right? You had black Moors, people who were assimilated into the so-called Moorish culture of North Africa and Andalusia and Spain. Okay, so that's what that came from. Now, black people being enthusiastic were like, man, we Moors were ruling. No, your black ass was on the bottom of Moorish culture, and same way you on the bottom of, hey, it was not an African civilization, African culture, even though there were black men who were sultans, who rose up to the top and everything, just like there were black Portuguese. People don't realize that. There were black Spaniards. There were black Portuguese captains on ships. People don't realize that. All that history is written down. A lot of stuff is written down in history. There were black Englishmen at the time, who lived in England, black Irish. People don't realize that. Yeah, there were always black men in Europe, in Venice, Venice, there were black men who lived in Italy, during the Renaissance. There's always been black men a part of Western culture, Western civilization. That's not nothing new. But there was also black men in ancient Rome. That don't mean people will take one black man they see in ancient Rome and say, see, I told you the Romans were black.
The whole Hidden Colors was based off of this, and you don't know how many people I've heard say Hidden Colors.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. It's sad. These are people who've never read a book, never read history.
What it is really, my Ghanaian friend said it. It's just, number one, everybody wants to be everything but West African. Right.
Yep.
Nobody wants to claim
big up Benin. Everybody say, "Yo, I'm from repping Benin." Yo, Togo. They will never do that.
Yeah. Nobody wants to rep Kunta Kinte. Number one. Number two, the reason why a lot of black people are attached to I'm a Hebrew, I'm a Moor, I'm an Olmec is because when you look at Israel and you look at America, they're in power. So people You got black people that want to be attached to this power. That's all it is.
Just like what you call in America, they have. You look at Native American culture, sacred vibes, stuff like that. Native American culture is beautiful. Indian women had long hair, you know, the brown skin and everything. Like the white men liked them and everything. So black people are like this. If you like them, let me be a Native American so I can get that same sort of love. Yes, that's why you have the Dane. By the way, Dinus, do you know the last show we did? Some Dane Calloway people are trolling you, man. They put links to your. We were already here in that last show we did. You know. And I said, yeah, I'm like, yo. So basically, these people don't want to be black. They don't want to be Africans. They don't want to be Africans. Whatnot. So the bottom of those of us who know who we are, right? We're gonna be all right. But these people who going on, and also you said about Tariq, right? Tariq is out to make money, right?
Of course.
If you're gonna send him a $500 donation, whatever like that, he'll say whatever you want. I said he'll have two people that contradict each other, Moors, Hebrews. He'll have a Pan-Africanist, right? None of them make, but Tariq will cater to each one of them, right? Because he's getting money from all of them. He has a big tent pile. He has no principles and everything. That's why you could be a so-called foundational Black America, right? Claim reparations, claim slavery, but say you were already here 5,000 years ago.
Guys,
and none of it's logical. None of it makes sense. You know?
Nope.
You just made a point. You just made a point. So claiming to be descendant of slaves, but you was already here.
Yeah, that's another thing. He said, listen, he said the people who were Aboriginal. This was, I guess because he was talking about the conquistadors saw black people here. He said people who were taken over. He said people who were brought over here. I'm like, wait a minute. If you're brought over here, how can you? It's almost like I'm New York, but I'm going to Georgia. I'm a New Yorker that went to Georgia. The whole thing was, I mean, if you listen to that, because Jamar cut it up in cuts, I'm like, what the? And it took a Google search to look for that Aldrisi. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. You know, it's crazy, bro.
All right, cool. Hey, Mike, you got anything else you want to say? Let me unmute Mike real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and close out, you guys. Hold on, Mike. You got anything else you want to say, Mike?
Yeah. So, well, as far as politics, to me, I just think the solution in the black community, it's really not going to come from the politicians, and it's never going to come from the politicians. And like I said, I've lived there. I went to high school here, and I have close friends of mine. The reason why I call in and talk about the crime bill thing, I had to go look into it because I have close friends, guys I went to high school with, they're on crack right now, man. And these guys are pretty much finished, man. Like, and every time I see them, I'm like, damn, this guy, I can't believe this guy was a guy we used to hang out together, you know. So when I started hearing, and when I found out about the whole crime bill thing, that it was a Democrat, it was these guys that actually did that deliberately. I mean, I had to look into it. I mean, and then to me, I think the people that really failed the community are like the older generation, man. Like even till today, one thing I noticed about
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. They never, the whole generation in the Black American community don't look out for the young generation. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. You see, happens till today. Like, thankfully, in Houston, it's changing because the Nigerian population has grown so huge here in Houston that the only elders in the community that are looking out for the younger ones are like the older immigrants. I'm talking about in the Black community. I'm serious. Like a lot of me, I'm getting close to my 40s now. And what I've been doing is kind of taking a lot of these young African-American kids, the teenagers, I'm taking a lot of them under my wings. Like, hey, I'm getting to my middle age. So it's my duty. Because if I was back in Africa, that's what I'll be doing. That's our culture over there. Like,
we appreciate
yeah. And the older generation they always ignore these kids, man. Like they just watch them lead themselves astray. Like that's always been a missing piece. Like the older people just might. It's like,
Mike,
let me finish though, man. I'm leaving, so let me just finish. There's no need for me. You and I to keep going back and forth. You know.
I want to ask you a question. I want you to answer.
You're gonna take me away from what I'm trying to say. So what I'm saying is, reason why I say that crime bill was not the problem. It was because that crime bill would have been a favor for the community. Because if they make law that's so strict and elders in the community join forces with the law enforcement and actually police their community, we would have eliminated the crack dealers. And like my friend, a few of my friends I just mentioned, those guys wouldn't have been on crack. Because I don't care if you're, I'd rather have you eliminate black crack dealer than a white crack dealer. I'd rather have you send a black crack dealer in my neighborhood to life in prison than, and if you're gonna leave a white drug dealer in a white neighborhood alone, I don't care. That's white people's problem. The problem is drug. We don't need drug in our community. If white people want to do drug, let them do drug. If they want to allow their drug dealers to continue to be free in their community, let them continue to be free. But if they come to our community to arrest our drug dealers and jail them, thank you. That's a favor. I'm not going to see that as you targeting us.
Right. I agree, Mike.
I just say a lot of people come here saying, "Oh, they give a black man that has crack, they give him 20 years." Of course, they need to give him 20 years because these guys are destroying the community. Because that drug crack is terrible, man.
Mike. Like I said, let me say something, right? I agree with you 100%. No one here defending crack dealers, right? It was only because, right? It's a political issue, whatnot. Because, like I said, majority of black people really don't give a shit about crack dealers and how no one cared back then. That's why shit lasted so long. It's only because we have people like what's the name with the book Mass Incarceration and stuff like that. It's because Eric Alexander.
The new Jim Crow, something like that.
The new Jim Crow and stuff like that. Even though his statistics weren't right, black prison population has been going down over the years. You know, the problem is, right, it still remains, right, is that fact of the matter is we have never gained anything tangible from the Democratic Party other than a crime bill. Now, that's not the sole issue, right? But that is an issue on the table that Biden has to answer for, right? He can apologize, say I did it wrong, because I know at the time, let's be honest with ourselves, right? At the time, right, black people, including myself, well, not really, those of us who were listening to Farrakhan time, we weren't worried, right? It was applied that this country was going to break out into a race war, right? The white nationalists, the white supremacists will get hold of police, the government, everything. They're going to round black people up and ship us back to Africa. That's what we most.
Oh well, no, they're saying that now that Trump is going to put us back on the cotton field.
But back then, Dinas, people actually really believed that. There was campaign ads talking about George Bush is going to put you back in slavery. Black people fell for it. We believe that. So therefore, if you have to create a crime bill, go right ahead. Whatever you have to do, if you have to take jobs from us, go right ahead. If you have to sign a deal with NAFTA, right, just keep these Republicans off our back. That's what we were at. So we didn't care about the jobs we lost during NAFTA. We didn't care about the illegal immigrants taking our jobs. We didn't care. All we wanted to do was be safe because we were that scared, you know? And so the crime bill, okay, if you want to sell the crime bill, you keep it. We were actually applauding Bill Clinton. We had that photo op with the prisoners behind him. Oh, yes, Master Bill going to keep us under safe. You know, yeah, we got other things under control.
Carla, did you grow up in a black neighborhood?
What?
Did you grow up in a black neighborhood?
Well, I grew up in the inner city. Then we moved upstate New York. But trust me, let me tell you something about New York, right? I was still around all that shit because I used to go to the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. I was around all that shit you talk about. It was in the suburbs. The drugs, the drug culture was everywhere. If you have a car, you can go to the suburbs. So it's not like you're sitting in the neighborhood watching shit. That's boys in the hood. That's fantasy. The shit's everywhere, you know. You'd be surprised. The crack was on Wall Street. There were people on Wall Street smoking crack.
Yeah.
There was people all over the place.
How do you explain this? How do you explain this? This guy, 50 Cent, right? He grew up in South Jamaican, Queens.
Yeah,
right?
my neighborhood. He grew up. He's a guy brewer like me.
In fact, he was affected by the drug issue. The drug, I mean, according to him, he saw drugs and he saw the whole destructions. And this guy is almost a billionaire today. And I've been doing research to find out if this guy ever went back to say, listen, man, I went through this as a child. I won't wish this to happen to another person's child, and go to that community and say, no, let me put some investment.
Well, let me say.
Nah, he's not going to do that.
Let me finish, Mike. Let me finish, Carla. Go ahead, Mike.
So this guy is not going to do anything like that. But you spending energy saying, oh, I want Trump. I want Hillary. So is he thinking one of these guys are the ones that are going to go back to his old neighborhood and actually fix the issue that he had to deal with as a child? I mean, what is he going to do with his millions? And a lot of these guys, man, I mean, they come on social media, flashing their cash, flashing their money. And I'm like, you come from this community, you made so much money, you can't even go back. Come on, if you love your people, go back to their neighborhood.
Yeah,
and
right.
Use your money to effect change.
Mike, let me say this.
Let me just make this last statement. A lot of the guys in the NBA, NFL, majority of them come from these communities, man. Majority of them, they come from that. And they are the one pointing fingers at politicians the most. Oh, Trump! Look at all these NBA guys. Oh, black this thing. Well, none of them except LeBron James, and most of these guys. I've been doing my research to find out. Even from Houston, here, a lot of guys are in the NFL, in the NBA. They come from the same neighborhood that I can name few of them. They come from the same whole neighborhood that I came from, where there's so much drugs problems still going on there. None of them ever came back to invest their money. And a lot of these guys put money into a lot of charities that goes to white communities. They say I donate $5 million a year into charity, and this which charity? Some white neighborhood charities. These guys are not thinking. I think some black intellectuals need to get together and start really.
Right, Mike. Let me ask you a question, Mike. Right? Do you know who pays the NBA people money? Who pays who? Who pays 50 Cent? Who pays the NWA?
Well, that's his money. They pay him whatever. It doesn't matter who pays him. Well, he end up paying his money. You should figure out how to spend his money.
Mike, let me say this, brother. 50 Cent is from Garvey Movement. First of all, South Jamaica Queens got millionaires in South Jamaica Queens. They got it's a black world. It'll never be regentrified. Never be gentrified. You got projects. You got row houses. You got Jamaica Estates, $1 million mansions. When my relatives lived there, Jamaica Estates.
In fact, I had to cut you off. I think Jamaica Queens has like the highest black ownership, or like the most wealthiest black community. Yeah,
right. Black people in New York have the highest standard of living in the world. The black community in Queens, New York, have the highest income level of any black group of people collectively, on a mass scale, the highest standard of living in the world. Yeah, you got things like the ghetto parts, the bad neighbors, and everything. But 50 Cent is like, I'm just out, whatever, like that. Just life goes on, whatever. I don't expect anything about 50. And also, I watched a video where 50 had one of his relatives call him, right, and ask him for money, right. And 50 had a stack of money on the table like this, right, going like this with the money. And he said, the dude was like, can I borrow? He go, I just ain't got it, man. I ain't got it. And he's sitting there holding the money like. And laugh, put the phone on mute and start laughing. He goes, I ain't got it, man. I ain't got no money. And he had he must have had like $2 million sitting on his table. That's what you're dealing with 50 Cent. 50 Cent is 50. He don't give a fuck. He's a rogue. I talked about that, rogue. The people that like 50 don't give a shit about the community. 50 was a drug dealer. He didn't give a shit about South Jamaica Queens then. He don't give a shit about South Jamaica Queens now. We can't make everybody into this loving black national. Money changes people. Money, you'll know a person when they get money.
My whole point is we should spend less energy waiting for politicians to solve our problems, man. Solve the community's problems. I think most of the things that needs to be solved is all in the hands of the people, like the social problems. Because a president cannot come to the neighborhood and fix it. A senator, these guys are not going to come there. Though, yeah, they got their part to play, but even if they play their part, if the people there are not playing their part, forget it. It's a waste of time, And I just noticed that. I don't know if it's a black thing. I mean, even African, we do it to some extent. Like, we just don't like to go to where we come from and fix it. We just like to blame somebody else, So that's what I just think.
And let me ask you a question: can we actually be a community without becoming racist? Now, you guys in Nigerian brothers, you guys can lead the way. You guys could build a pipeline between Nigeria and Houston and everything, and we could just be along with you guys. We could just merge together and make Nigeria like the homeland. Well, I mean, come on, you guys got to work with us, man.
What is stopping you from? What do you mean work with you? What do you mean we're not working with you?
You guys are the Nigerians, man. You got to go back there and take that shit the fuck over and say, hey, look, man, you can't. In other words, basically, that's nice what you're doing here, right? But you got to take Nigeria. That's where the power is in Africa. That's what I can't tell.
Well, we've always welcomed you, man. You the one that don't want to come there. So don't say we're not. We've always welcomed. See, Africa's always been open to Black Americans. You just don't want to come there.
That's another show. Well, when you say welcome, right? You look at the Jews don't have to say welcome to Israel, right?
Kind of like you didn't want to talk about Liberia. When Black Americans came to Liberia, didn't they say welcome home? I mean, Africa's always been open for you.
There's no infrastructure, so there's no institutions, bro. That's what I'm talking about. The Jews have stock market, stock exchange together with each other.
We don't have it there too. There's no institution that we don't have in Africa. We have it all. It's all in there.
Yeah, but you don't have it here in America. You don't have it with us. You're not building with Black institutions here. That's what I'm
Black
talking about.
Americans are the ones that don't want to be with Africans, man.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, Mike.
You just spoke about a lot of Black Americans calling themselves.
You know, the majority of I'm an
Most
Omet.
Black Americans are not interested. There's only few people like Diners.
What about all the people that listen to you, me, and everything? We want to do it, man. Don't worry about them clowns.
Hala, majority of Black Americans are not interested in Africa, dude. It's only just a few, like Diners and yourself. Your number is so small. Even me, it took me many years to run into Black Americans like Diners. After it took me a long time. It took me many years. If I have many Black Americans like yourself and Diners, and I run into a lot of you all the time, I personally would have teamed up with those guys and just went and change the neighborhood I grew up in. You know, I hardly run into people that think like you guys, man. So don't say it's an African thing. You know, even people say Black immigrants don't want to work with Black Americans. That's a lie. It's a Black Americans that don't want to work with the Black immigrants. That's just a flat truth, man. It's the Black Americans just have this ego. This ego.
I don't agree with that stupid ADOS FBA crap. You're Black. Yeah, we're all one people, man. That's why I see it, man. You know, I don't care about all that stupid stuff, you know. And we got a whole continent out there, 12 million square miles that's constantly being eaten up by the Chinese, Lebanese, and everything else while we're sitting in America, sitting on our ass, doing nothing and whatnot. It's time to make a change, man. It's the bottom line. That's why I said. Some people say, Carl, you Black Americans, as I talk about, I'm not going to stop talking about Africa. I don't give a goddamn who doesn't like it. That's my ancestral homeland. I'm going to keep talking about it. If I can influence people, which I know I do, I'm going to keep doing it. You know, I don't care. You know, when I get there and everything like that, I'm going to act like I'm home. This is my home. This is my land, where like that. And also what I want to do is I want to respect the people on the ground and the people in the country, because I think we as Black people in America need to start taking our African brothers more seriously. You know, that's what the problem we're having right now. We don't take them seriously, and we're just some fancy. These are real people. They want real answers, real solutions. If you don't got anything real to give them, whatever, keep your mouth shut. Just go over there, get your little bungalow, fish, go on vacation, whatever like that, and shut the hell up, you know?
So how to your point, this is what happened a lot. I notice in the communities, right? The African immigrants comes, and the Black Americans ignore them, right? And then those ones have the impression, like, okay, I'm coming to your house. It's like, you ignoring me. And then those ones decide, okay, well, these people here are ignoring me. Let me ignore them. And then the Black Americans are not coming and complain. They would say, oh, these immigrants are coming here and they don't want to engage us. Wait, who's the visitor? They come into your home. You didn't want to have to welcome them into your home.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. Let me ask you a question, right? Do African immigrants got their local Black pages? Do they got their own Black? Because I know in Hampton.
Hello, these are excuses, man. Come on.
No, Mike. Let me say this, right? And where I live at, right, African immigrants are completely integrated with the Black community here. They got nail salons, braiding salons. They got everything. Yeah, my plumber is a guy from Gambia. He was stuck over in Gambia a couple of months ago when he just finally got back. You know, he's a brother from Gambia and whatnot. So where I live at, we don't have that sort of problem.
This is what I've always noticed. I've always noticed, like in America, that when Black immigrants come from different countries, like the Caribbeans and Africans and even different part of Africans, when they get here, they link with each other quickly, like easily. Like the Caribbean people quickly link with the Africans so fast. Like every neighborhood I've lived in, almost every African and every Caribbeans know each other, and they just share culture. Even other Africans, people always think Africans are just one people. Most of us never met other Africans until we got to the West. Most people from some people from Nigeria never met people from Ethiopia or Kenya.
Black people in America don't get along with each other.
Most Black African immigrants, they came to America, they never met other Africans until they got here. And the moment they run into each other, they quickly learn about each other, form a community, start talking. And Black Americans seem to isolate themselves from. They see other Black groups as just one group of people, and then they isolate themselves, and then they complain. Oh, these immigrants, they're coming here, they don't fuck with us. Come on, you're the one that's supposed to be taking the lead. If all these group of Black people are coming here, you should be the one to be engaging them and setting the rules.
Right?
Instead of sitting on the corner.
African Americans, right? Let me give you an example. Where I live at, right? A lot of African Americans don't like other African Americans. You grew up in the wrong part of town, they'll hate you forever. You know, we have a lot of self-hating Black America. We don't get it. It's not like you just what you're doing is it's like you're coming to America. Black people are disunited. We're broken. We're not together and everything. And what happens is African immigrants, you know, they get caught up in the mix. It's not if I can't embrace other African Americans, right? and get along and everything. There's no way I'm going to embrace African immigrants like that. Black people just stay to themselves, brothers, man. We don't speak to each other. We just, in our own little world and everything.
All right.
And that's just the way
I heard his
that's the way it
excuse.
is.
I heard his excuse like 22 years
But
ago when I
Dennis,
was in America, right?
Am I telling the truth? That's the way it is in America.
You're telling the truth, but here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. If that was the case 20 years ago, right? Why is it still the case 20 years later? So why did someone like yourself, like older generation like yourself, knew this was a problem 20 years ago, and then figure what to do to make sure like these younger kids that are coming up don't have the same mentality.
They call me a fool.
The what?
You know what I'm saying? They call me a fool. They call me anything. But when I was back in the days, man, that's why I'm so vindicated right now. Come
on, man. There's no way you can tell me that you can't control younger ones, man. Come on.
Bro, we can't control. You remember something? Control means reward and punishment. I said it at the top of the show.
I can understand young girls, but young boys always looking for somebody to talk to. So I just mentioned earlier, I have like a bunch of
look, I talk to young brothers and whatnot, just anything, but when I talk to them, I try to tell them, they think being in the gang, all that stuff is cool and everything. You try to tell them whatnot, they'll listen to you a little while. But as soon as they get around their friends and whatnot, it's just out the door. That's what we're battling.
If I tell you, Carla, I'm telling you, me as a Nigerian alone, I have a bunch of young African American boys. I'm 38. I have boys like 19, 20. Some of them I've known since they were like 15. And these guys literally thank me every day for being involved in their life.
You too, bro. I think, I lecture them this and anything, but at the same time,
every one of them before.
Hey guys, let's do this. Let's do a separate show on this. Let's go ahead and close out. Yeah, that'd be this separate show. Let's go ahead and close out. Mike, go ahead, man. You got 2 minutes.
Okay. So the point I'm just trying to make is, I'm not trying to criticize Black America, even Africans as well. Like I noticed that it's kind of like a Black thing. I don't know if it's a curse or something. It's like we all know the solution to our problems, but we don't even. We just ignore it, or we just give excuses for it. Example, even in Nigeria, like these young people that are doing NSARS, marching and crying. These guys just last year, some younger candidates ran for election and they didn't vote for them. They knew that the young people were the solution to their problems, and they didn't vote for them. They want to vote for the same old people they've been complaining about for years. So even in Africa, like I just know there's a Black thing. Like we know the solution to our problems, but we just ignore it, and when somebody point at it, we just give excuses like, "Why? No. Like, this is a solution. It's easy." Like I'm saying right here, like it's the old generation in the Black American community. That's the problem, because these young boys, they just need somebody to direct them. That's it. Young boys and girls. They just need somebody to. Let me finish. I'm just closing out, man. I'm gone. Let me close out. They just need someone older to just come around and just talk to them and show them where to go. Because these boys that I'm mentoring right now, a lot of them knew them since high school, and back in high school, they had no clue what college was about. They had no idea. Nobody ever talked. This guy, they didn't even know why they were in school until I met them and had a conversation with them and just got into it and showed them the direction where they should be heading to. Like, listen, this is the way. This thing's called college. You need to develop your math skills right now. Listen, I just showed them the way, and these kids were happy. They were happy that older guys talking to them. The nature of young boys is young boys have fear for older men. Natural. That's just a natural state. They're always looking for an older man to emulate. That's why most of them emulate rappers and all these guys, because that's the older men that they are supposed to. So once older people, men in the community, develop their intention to guide these young boys, they will follow you. It's as easy as that. Because what I noticed is a lot of older Black Americans, like, they just ignore these young boys. They just ignore them. And they'll sit down and complain about other things, like politicians, trauma, history, slavery. Come on, man. That's not what we should be. Go help these young boys, man. So, and whenever I sit down and talk to them, they just get offended. They get mad at me. So I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna do God's will and take it upon myself to do what I can. So I decided to start mentoring these young boys, and I had a couple of them just got into college right now. They got admitted, So that's what I gotta say, man. We should just focus on our solution and stop looking to white people or politicians to solve our problems. The solution is easy. It's in our hands, All right, man. Thanks, Diamonds.
No problem. Go ahead, caller.
Oh yeah, thanks, Mike, for the commentary and everything. Always a good debate with Mike. But yeah, like you said, my whole thing is this. So we have all of us, man. I've now heard so many lectures, conferences, everything. You got everybody out there, right? But the big thing is this, bro. We could lead.
Caller, we got to do the Rise Up conference.
Yeah, we got right. Like we just had an FBA conference. I thought all our problems were supposed to be solved by now, We just had an FBA conference a couple of weeks ago. You know, I thought they were, oh wow, all the big powerhouses were there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The bottom line is this, man: the black race. Listen to this carefully on both sides of the Atlantic, right? Well, if we do not have this world global revolution among black, that's what I told Mike. It's not enough to just sit in Houston and like that. These guys have to take Africa back or not. And then once Black America know that they have a future on the continent, they got future Africa, that will give us political capital to something to vote around. We did it with the South Africa. Remember that with the apartheid?
Mm-hmm.
If we did it with that's when all our problems started. Let me tell you right now. That's when all our problems started. After black people did everything, marched everything, and we forced override a President Reagan veto and brought sanctions on South Africa. That's when the racism, I never forget it. That's when this all started. News articles started attacking Black America. You know, that's from 1986, 85, 86, right? To now, it's been we've been in a friggin' global race war. And they're trying to keep Black America away from Africa, out of global geopolitics, also like that. That's why I call myself the geopolitical pundit. You know, the bottom line is if we could do that for South Africa, right, we could do that for the rest of Africa, and that's where our votes will be. We went with Democrats. The Democrats supported us against South Africa, and we thanked them for that. We got sanctions on South. We ain't got anything out of it, but that's what it is. Now, the coming future right here, if we put stuff on the table, like with the African Union, whoever it is, and say, this is the AYZZZ, we need to support this project right here. This is where we're going to go. Black America need to be on code, right like that, and then we could do business across the Atlantic, and we could set ourselves free. We did it before. We could do it again.
All right, cool. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you go to dynastymirror.com, get your books, get your merchandise. Tour April 21st to the 30th. We're going to Sierra Leone. Come and join us. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for who.
Peace.
Peace.
See y'all next week. All right.